What's good, everybody? We're back for another episode of Top 5 Live, episode 96. As you can see, Big Bro Javon Stokes down at the bottom. Not by any, it's just a thing. You know what I'm saying? But Amani is our.
Actually, I'm at the bottom, but I stand alone. That's all that matters.
Somebody cared about that. Somebody out there cared about that. And I'm glad you said it because somebody cares.
Hey, I'm my biggest cheerleader. What you want, nigga?
That's how it's supposed to be. Good job.
I swear I'm gonna beat you. I swear you act like you ain't about to see me in like 3 days.
I ain't worried. Look, I mean,
bring that Tekken, bring that Street Fighter, bring that Madden. I'm gonna have you back on the show next Tuesday. Like, I mean,
there's no world that that's the thing. Cut it out. As I was saying before, being rudely interrupted by Javon,
insulting your friend.
I did not insult you, sir.
I want to introduce
my brother Amani is back in the building.
What's up?
It's been a minute. It's been a minute since we had Amani on, but I'm glad you're back, bro. Definitely a good conversation to have you back. Our top 5 list for 2 reasons, because he's a comic book head, connoisseur, historian, just like Javon. And our top 5 tonight is the top 5 indie comic characters. So we've done top 5 indie comics before, but we've not done top 5 indie comic characters. But the caveat is it cannot be our own, because I wouldn't have put my own up there anyway because that's lame. But
yeah, I would.
I know.
Have to be individuals, right? Not like teams or something.
Yeah, it got to be individuals.
Okay.
Oh damn, they got me. Oh shit. Okay. All right, okay. Go ahead.
Jay, don't do this. It's too early. Why? How did we get the smoke already?
No, who said that?
No, Jay is.
Anyway, Jay, come see me, man.
Anyway. So that's our top 5 list. Again, top 5 indie comic characters. But again, they cannot be your own. Because I saw Kevin saying I know who's going to be on his list, and we all know we know who's going to be on his list too. Danny is supposed to be trying to come, but him and his family on a road trip, so I have no expectation of him actually making it in. The other thing that we wanted to discuss tonight is the hashtag of comics broke me. I think that I don't know when it initially got posted. I think it was over the weekend. I read a short article about it because I could not get a full grasp of the conversation from I know Greg, my boy Greg, posted it, and I think Danny reposted it, and I know Amani posted something about it too. So I from what I grasped, I want to make sure that I'm grasping it correctly. It was a very diligent and seemingly well known and loved comic artist that passed. I think at age 38. And ain't Jay, and ain't. He passed at 38 over the weekend, and apparently at the funeral or after the funeral, a lot of his family and friends were talking about the fact that he in the comic industry he was very passionate about his work, but in the opinion of his mother and others, he was overworked and underpaid, which is a ongoing issue within the comic community. And from the sound of things and what I saw, that's what I was pretty much gleaning, like from Greg's page, from the article that I read. That's what I was gleaning. That's kind of at the core of the issue, but I wanted to get y'all's take too, because y'all saw it before I did and brought it to my attention. So I mean, what was y'all's take on that?
Yeah, my take is it was that pretty much everything you just said. You explained why it came into place, but came into being. But I thought it was an interesting commentary on how difficult working in the comic books industry is, and has been really forever. Um, and I've always find it interesting because I'm always, when you do cons and you table and people come and buy your books, shout out to everybody that came by Brooklyn Comic Con, got that heat. You they always say, "Oh man, I'm gonna hold on to this book," and then when you blow up, it's gonna be worth. And it's like every other person says it, and I'll be like, "Man, I just want you to read the book. Like it's because that's not realistic, The seeing all the stories play out or be just told, it was a bit sobering. It's and tough to hear people, who very, very talented people who've created some of our most iconic stories and characters talking about how, you know, how un how undercompensated they are. And, like I saw one guy talk about how he missed like a month of work or a week of work for, because he got ill because he was overworked, and in 2 of the days of the week he was in a coma. Yeah, so it was like, dang man, like it's tough hearing all these people say it. um my issue I kind of took is there were a lot of people who, there's always contrarians, and they were like, comics didn't break me, and then they would say their spiel or whatever, and I would always say, in my mind, I'm like, read the room. This ain't the time for that. But I'll get into that. But go ahead, Imani.
Um, it's interesting when I first started reading up on it, when I started seeing the trends. One, around this time every year, this conversation or this debate pops up. Somebody releases their pay stubs or something, and there's this huge debate or conversation about creator compensation. And then it dies out, and then sometimes usually around this time of year, it pops back up again. It usually comes. It actually, ironically, usually pops up on the heels of a very huge showing,
Yeah.
whether it's like in film or animation or something like that. So when something blows up, usually there's some artist decides that they're going to air their dirty laundry, and it goes on a tear. I think last year was about, it had to do with the rights to some film or something like that. But usually after something really takes off in the zeitgeist, that's when this conversation tends to pop back up again. Um, that's the first thing. Second thing is, as much as I love comics and I'm a huge comic book fan and I love doing work with indie comic book creators and I have friends that work in the industry, I've never was under the assumption or the delusion that the comic book industry or comic book space was a safe place. You know what I mean? Like I've never thought that, the comic book business was a safe place. I've never thought comic book culture was a safe place. I've never thought, whether it's indie or otherwise, I've heard maybe not as horrific as some of the stories that people have been sharing, but by and large, every creator I know of has an experience where they either got burned or taken advantage of and things of this nature. So it's like um I've gone into this business with the idea that this is not a safe place and I should be um always be self-aware and the type of people I'm dealing with and the type of business I'm doing. So that's the second thing that struck me was that um it's like, so that which led me to some of the takes that we were talking about on Facebook. Um when you're self-aware, then you see why some of these things happen, or some of these creators find themselves in these predicaments. When I
Well,
started looking at it historically and stuff like that.
can you go into the specific take that you had? Because that's the one I kind of wanted to talk about.
Sure. Basically, I was saying that basically, the so historically, creators, especially specifically, say for instance, artists have always and writers as well have always been work for hire when it comes to the comic book industry, right? Like these publishers don't hire them on as employees; they're all freelancers. So with whatever the publisher we're talking about, whether it's Marvel or DC, it's very rare that the creators behind that work are employees of the publisher. They usually work for hire arrangements, and this is going back to 30s and 40s and stuff like that. Um, and as a consequence, yeah, those artists work for several publishing companies, so they work for three or four different publishing companies at a time, putting out work. In some cases, um, stories that one artist would do would show up in two or three different publications. You know what I mean? So that's been like the history of the comic book business. And then on the other end of that, though, the trade-off ideally is supposed to be that the artists and creators get all these incentives, um, because they aren't employees. They're not locked into an exclusive agreement. So they get to keep their original work. They can sell their original artwork. They can take commissions and do work that way. They can work for other companies outside of the original, companies that they work for. And then, ideally they can go on and actually create work for themselves, their own creations, and, gain royalties and licensing agreements and stuff like that, um, on their own.
Okay.
So, so like basically, the idea is that that's supposed to be the trade off. Is that no, we don't. We get you. We pay you, and then the corporations, they get the advantage of basically, for lack of a better term, cheap labor, because they don't have to pay out the benefits. They don't have to you know pay taxes and all this stuff on this creator.
I'm not
you
sure
know
that's I think you have it backwards. It's not a trade off though. It's not looked at as a trade off. Like
so they don't get cheap labor.
no, they're getting cheap labor because they're getting cheap labor.
Okay.
Because that's what the market is dictating. You know what I mean? Like the way I'm just going off the way you're phrasing it. The way you're phrasing it sounds like this is an agreed upon arrangement where there's the trade off. And I'm saying this is the way the market set itself up. This is the way Marvel and DC and most of the publishers set it up, which positions to creators to have to get some type of profit. They have to do that other stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
but
know what I
at the
mean?
same time, they could have easily taken. They could have said like those pages don't belong to you; they belong to us, right? Or they could have been like those.
I
They
mean,
could
it
have put.
could, but it
I mean,
would.
it's like it could have been any number of different things. I'm not saying that they wrote it down like you are allowed to do X, Y, and Z. I'm saying like basically, if it wasn't for those opportunities, a lot of this talent wouldn't be able to create some of the indie, properties that we have right now.
Okay. Um, yeah, I don't know if I look at it that way because when we had the conversation before, you had said that if they were to become employees, like
Hmm.
salaried employees with benefits and such,
Right.
that the industry wouldn't exist. The indie market wouldn't exist. Is that what you
I
said?
didn't
I just
say.
want to make sure.
To be
I don't
clear,
want to misquote you. My bad.
what I said was that so right now the indie market has the largest share of the comic book market. The indie market as a whole, okay, in comparison to Marvel and DC. Marvel and DC has very large chunks of the market, but the largest part of that pie, maybe over 50% of that pie, belongs to the indie market overall.
Okay.
And what I'm suggesting is that if artists and creators were locked into exclusive arrangements, exclusive contracts where they can only work for a particular, which would give them the living wages and the benefits and things like that, then all that talent would be pulled out of the independent market. And a lot of that talent wouldn't be going on to create stuff. Like you wouldn't have Kirkman making Walking Dead because he would be locked into an arrangement with DC, or you wouldn't have the image creators creating image because they will be locked into exclusive agreements with Marvel and DC as well. So it's like, because they weren't locked into any type of exclusive arrangement or contract, they weren't employees to any of these publishers. They were able to walk into those offices and say, F y'all, we doing this on our own. And they did. And they created, Image Comics. So it's sort of like, without, in a weird sort of way, I'm not saying that, it was the best arrangement for every creator. What I'm saying is that opportunity, to a degree, allow for them to, take those risks and create their own characters and stuff like that.
Right. I mean, I guess I kind of agree, but I also, and I'm speaking as a creator myself, I know there are a lot of creators who don't want to inherently work for Marvel and DC, and I think you would run into that. Kirkman actually is a great example. Kirkman was exclusive with Marvel and DC for quite a while, exclusive contract and everything, and he let it lapse so that he can go do his creator-owned stuff.
Now, that's a perfect point. And what did he get out of that arrangement?
Out of what arrangement?
The biggest thing that he got out of that arrangement, that contract that he got.
Are you talking about the exclusive? I mean, you do get benefits. I believe you get benefits.
I'm not even talking about that. It's like, what he was able to get was notoriety.
Right. I agree.
He got name recognition. So it's sort of like he built all of his value with these larger publishers. Right. So him walking away, oh yeah, great. You walk away and you taking your the value of your name,
right?
You know what I'm saying, to build whatever it is that you want to build from there. So it's sort of like, that's how it works. It's like you got something like you got Tinian right now, he walked away from Batman and all that kind of stuff, but he built his name recognition to the point where he can walk away from Batman,
right?
And it's like, he's in the open market,
right?
Making the names for himself, being able to publish his own work,
right?
But the interesting point is, he's also able to take advantage of the fact that labor costs are low. So if he's working with an artist, he might be paying, awesome page rates, but at the same time, that's not, page rates in and of itself aren't a living wage. You know what I'm saying? So even he is taking advantage of how this market works.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like every publisher is taking advantage of work for hire contracts.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
I agree with that.
So oddly enough, right, the creators that it's sort of like how they have this debate in the NFL all the time, where they talk about how the players should ask for more rights. They should band together. And the only thing, the hugest obstacle is the quarterbacks, right? They get the most money and they have the most power and the most influence, but they're the ones that usually give the most pushback in all those scenarios, because they get the most money. You know what I'm saying? It's sort of like, so you have so in this conversation, it's like we rarely hear from people like, at least I'm not saying that he hasn't said anything, but I've rarely heard anything from someone like a Kirkman or a McFarlane or or any of these creators that have made their living in the independent market coming from the major publishers, to really speak on issues like this, because um, some of these independent publishers are probably may have maybe some of the worst, culprits when it comes to some of these issues.
Yeah, I think so I agree with pretty much most of that what you just said. The wage issue, the wage issue is purely a archaic system that has not updated.
Mm.
And I think a lot of that really, if Marvel and DC, in my opinion, and I'm not trash talking them, but I and it's not even really Marvel. My understanding it's the greater publishing on top. Um, I think things would be better. If there's obviously a hike in how much the artists and the writers and stuff get paid, but Kyron trying to get me in trouble. Um, but I do think if the profit sharing from the films would filter down more into into royalties for creators, I think it would offset a lot of the issues that the page rates are dealing with. And the reason why I say this is because if you look at all the Marvel movies now, they're pulling from old and new now. Like they're pulling from everything, and they're pulling designs that creators now have put in. And I use Love and Thunder. Thor: Love and Thunder had so much imagery taken from it's sad Ribic. I can't
Yeah,
pronounce it.
yeah.
But yeah,
The
he
God,
had
the God Killer.
yeah, the God,
story.
all that God Killer stuff. Like they literally like ripped panels and just had them on the screen, and he wasn't compensated as well. I remember having a conversation with Jim Starlin, and Jim Starlin was telling me how he got paid more for some random background character in Batman versus Superman than he did for Thanos.
Mm-hmm.
And I honestly think that if it were to filter down, if they were to pay the creators who have been literally giving them ideas and designs and all the other stuff, it would offset it. It's almost like, well, if you're not going to hike up how much they're paying them on a page by page, issue by issue basis, you can at least give them more money when the work that they put in for the comic is now translated into other media. And then Mason's right. Most artists don't want to work for the big two just because the page rates aren't great. But I mean, the problem with that inherently is being pushed to the forefront when you see comics broke me and stuff like that is the industry, the expectation for art has changed. The quality level has changed. Like there's this Twitter, I saw this on Twitter where they had this guy draw a picture of Captain America's boot, and it's like the pirate boot. And then below it, that was like, this is what was the standard. And then below it now is like this ultra detailed military boot with baggy jeans and everything. And like, this is the standard now. One takes like 3 seconds, the other takes like 3 minutes. And that's the standard now. Like the expectation for the level of artwork is greater. And this is one of the arguments I had about that it differs from anime. A lot of anime is super simply drawn. A lot of the anime that I see is really simply drawn, and that artwork would not fly here. It would not fly in regular American books, but it flies in anime, and it's interesting. But the level of go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just interested you brought up anime and manga because they're one of the biggest, like their work, the work ethics around anime and manga are deplorable. Like when we're talking about, living wages and, people's livelihoods, you have people committing suicide, working in the manga industry. It's like, so that's like, what's interesting, like surrounding this whole conversation is sort of like there isn't too many industries that it's not like you were saying, like, yeah, it's like, yeah, that artwork want to fly here, but oddly enough, they're in the same boat as, our industry is right now.
Yeah, I mean, you really have to be like a superstar artist or writer to really see significant money. Like, big
Hmm.
name guys are making big name dollars as they should.
Hmm.
Um, hold on. Brad said something I want to. Brad said I have a hard time believing that anyone would turn down a big two job. I would say most people wouldn't turn it down, but Mason makes a really good point about it. Says depending on the page rate. If you're getting paid pennies to do work, to crank out work, you probably can make more of elsewhere. I know a lot of comic book artists are migrating to the video game industry because they're making way more money in video games than they are here.
Hmm.
And I know what Joe Mad did that. Jeff Matsuda, he was an amazing artist, and he ditched comics to go do video games. And my understanding, he does significantly better. Um,
Hmm.
one of the things Jim Starlin would say to me is, or that he said to me, is if you do get a chance at Marvel, you take it, but you take it with the understanding that it's temporary,
Right.
and you're just building your audience until you so that you can leave and go do your own thing and make more money doing your indie stuff. And
Right.
that's the thing, like, and I understand what you are saying about how that if you gave people more money and benefits and made them like actual employees,
Hmm.
there would be less talent on the indie level, but there's so much hold on. Exactly, Javon. Even exposure offered by can be offset by social media. Yeah, I mean it's true. Um, but it
I
does, but it doesn't.
don't
It,
agree with that, but
what
I
you
I kind of see
you
what you're
don't
saying.
know. There are a lot of people. There are a lot of people who don't do who haven't done the big two that are doing really well, and that will never. You know what I mean? They don't have no point. Brad, yeah, they can be cheap. Just the scale is not great, especially when you're
Scale
just
from
getting in. The
Square
page
where
rate.
and the big two.
Yeah,
I mean, what are we talking about? Do we know numbers? Are we
I've
going to quote
seen
numbers or
I've seen people say like they were getting $90 a page. Like
okay?
that's not great.
No,
$90 a page times 20.
hmm
That's not great. Marvel and DC.
for Illustrator.
Yeah.
Mm,
What is 90 times what's 90 times 20? I'm not a math person. Let me do it real quick. 90 times 20 is
1800.
1800. Take out taxes. That's not a
Hmm.
living wage. Um a month. 1800 a month. That's not a living wage. 2.2K. Yeah, it's not great. Marvel and DC jobs have value to many as leverage to secure more jobs from a wider range of employees. Yeah,
Hmm.
right now, yes. Now, again, I agree. If you paid people more and made them employees, they wouldn't
Hmm.
have to do the indie stuff to facilitate them
Right.
making more money. I agree on that. The talent, but in the best talent would
Especially the most. And think about this. Especially the most talented. You see what I'm saying? Because when we're talking about the most talented creators, it's sort of like, yeah, they're the ones that are always going to be able to bet on themselves in the long run, right?
right,
And
but
so it's sort of
it'll
like,
still end up being an image thing though. Just
what do you
a
mean?
whole bunch of image things. Like the image creators wanted equity. They wanted equity in the characters.
Uh huh.
That's what they wanted. And let's say you have Joe Schmo. Joe Schmo gets picked up by Marvel, gets paid a living wage. Let's say he works for Marvel for 3 years, and Joe Schmo becomes a big time artist, and he becomes Greg Capullo. For those that don't know, Greg Capullo did Spawn, did Batman. He's big time. Let's say he
Hmm.
becomes that. He might eventually go, you know what? I can make my own character, and do this by myself and make and get all the profit and have all the creative control and not have, because once you make them employees, then you got to treat them like employees.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And then the expectation, it becomes inherent there. And so that's why I think you would still go, you know what, I can do this and I can go. And there are a lot of artists out there that are just doing covers too. Let's just keep it a buck.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of comic book artists that don't even do interiors. They just do
Right.
covers and they make bank off of it. So I
Mm-hmm.
think the employee thing does help, and it would help the mid-level more than the upper echelon. Because the upper echelon guys, like you said, they're going to be able to write their own ticket. Hold on, Mason. Let's see. Here's the thing, though. Are there any recent Marvel DC artists who have reached the level of the big ones?
See, this is how some of this has sort of suppressed talent, right? Because 90% of there are no superstar after our image. There are no superstar artists anymore. There are a lot of superstar writers, but even they are sort of like it's not like a small. I'm noticing it's a really it's a boys club scenario going on with the writers now. I notice, like for instance, Tinian was put on by Snyder. You know what I'm saying? Like these writers are being vetted by other writers, and they're getting very huge key, you know, writing positions. But as far as artists though, I've read unless you were talking about somebody like a Capullo, um, I'm not seeing like big name artists even finish whole runs anymore. Whole runs of storylines or series or anything of that nature. So like you
Ivan
have
Reyes is
now.
big. Ivan Reyes is
Okay,
big.
yeah. I mean, every blue moon you'll see a name, but like, but even still, they're not employees. They're work. They're sort of like they're not locked in. So like for instance, Millard does a good job of working with some of the hottest artists out, right? But to his advantage, they're not locked into like these agreements with larger publishers where they can't do work for him. And he basically has a blank check. He's already been paid millions for his catalog, so there's no telling what he's paying his artists
But
page
they get
rates.
equity though. They get
That too.
equity in the creations.
I mean, that's great. Now, mind you, so yeah, I don't know how that pans out because not every, oddly enough, not every Millard movie is a hit. You know,
Well, it
some
doesn't need to be a hit though. All
I
that
don't, I don't know
matters
how
is
to
that. But I'm saying all that matters is that initial bit of money that they get.
right, and that's all comes from. But again, that all comes from the idea that since I'm not covering this cost of, you know, carrying you as an employee, I have the room to give you. I can give you points on the back end. I can give you, you know, I can bump up your page rates. I can, you know, I can play around with any other all these different incentives because I'm not carrying the burden of, you know, your health care, your health, benefits, living wage, all that kind of stuff. It's sort of like my issue. I don't. It's not that I have a problem one way or another. I'm just trying to get people to understand that, like for instance, if artists, major publishers gave their artists and writers a living wage, we're talking about the amount of product that would come out of all these publishers would drop dramatically. You know
You
what I'm
said the
saying?
product would drop. I'm sorry, I missed that.
The amount of product that will be that would coming out every week, it would drop almost in half. I would imagine if the industry moved in that direction, Marvel and DC definitely would have. I would. It was I was saying in my post that I think what would happen is if they had just had like it grew a heart like the Grinch, and Marvel and DC decided they were going to uh, pay their employees a living wage, they would probably move into the book industry. They would probably work closer to the book industry than trying to shell out the amount of product that the comic book industry demands. They would not be trying to meet that demand because they wouldn't be putting out as much product anymore.
So I have two questions. One, since I see we have other artists on here, and I saw Brad's comment earlier. I think Javon, you responded to it before I had to step away. But the trade off that you talked about, I like the way you phrased it early, Amani, when you were talking about the trade off, because I think I think it's a good point. Um, I think that is what comes with it. Like if you, I get where Brad's coming from, saying I can't see most people turning down an opportunity to work with the big two. I from the people, from the creators I know, I can see it. But I think it would be dependent upon what it is that they were trying to do, because the trade-off is, okay, you know what I mean, like, you already doing your thing, which is what helped us notice you. We're going to put our brand, like, you're getting ready to be able to come and be a part of this brand. Now we're going to help blow your brand up more, you know what I'm saying, which should bring you more commissions, which should bring you more notoriety, which should bring you better stuff at cons, which should bring you more notoriety for your own private stuff, you know what I mean. And in the long run, the question is that not worth it, you know what I
No,
mean,
it's
like,
absolutely worth it.
that's on one side. The other side is, like, for you personally, Amani, would you like to see, would ideally, if you were in Marvel DC shoes, but if you were in Marvel DC shoes, but you were still thinking with the same heart that you have now for creators and indie comic creators, would you want to change the model? Would you want to make a hybrid model, or would you want to change the model altogether, because we know that, or because many believe that the system as it is right now doesn't work, it's broken, you know what I mean?
So if you've been paying attention to the industry right now, right, you would think that with the amount of product that's flooded into the industry, that you would think that the industry is healthy. And I'm talking about specifically comic publishers and, say, the direct market to comic book shops specifically, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so much of that is a facade. And I think these testimonies are evidence of that. When all these artists talking about not being paid and all this kind of stuff, to me, that's a sign of the profits not being nowhere near, these publishers being nowhere near as solvent as they should be, no matter who we're talking about, right? We're talking about across the board from all the major publishers have been happening in the last 8 months, right? A couple of them I think went into bankruptcy or went out of business altogether. And so when we talk about the big two and what would they do to change and stuff like that, it's sort of like, I would venture to say the profit margins are very narrow for them too. And so there's not even enough room for them to pay artists, even if they wanted to. Which goes to your point, Javon. Yeah, you might want to consider, like, sweetening the deal with points on, create things that they create and stuff like that, or if they pop up in movies and all that kind of stuff. But that's what typically, small publishers do, because they can't pay the page rates that they're worth, right? They say, well, I'll give you royalties and all this other kind of stuff. So the first thing that is, once you realize that the comic book industry is not healthy in any way, shape, form, or fashion, it's like, it's a dumpster fire. And
That's a little too much. That's a little too
it's
much.
not. It's
That's
not
not a dumpster fire, dude. The numbers,
Yes, it is.
the numbers disagree with that, though.
No, the numbers, they're lying to you. It's like this is not real. This is the
Well, can you
Matrix.
tell me why? What metrics are you using? Let me ask that question.
Use your own
Because
metrics. Think about this. It's like if we're all
well, you can't say
everybody's selling
use
the
your
books.
own
Well,
metrics
hold on.
because if
No,
if I'm
no.
saying
Hold on. On the average, we're all selling our comics for about $5, right? On
We
the
just made a
average,
cost adjustment.
not me.
huh?
We
Well,
just made a price
where we
adjustment
at?
on ours.
Where we at? $10. That
10.
sounds that sounds crazy to me, but I'll go along
For a
with 10.
32-page comic book? Well, number one, you're using. Okay,
I'm
hold on.
just
It's
Time out.
between
hold on.
it's between
This
8 and 10.
Time out. Time out. Time out.
all I'm
I'm a time.
saying is that look. It's like it's regardless of I'm just saying to me personally as a collector, $10. Wow.
Well,
But that's
but
neither here.
let me
To be
answer. Let
telling
me
you, hold
let
on.
me let me.
That's neither. I get
No,
why
because that
you. It's
Okay,
neither
go
here
ahead.
nor there.
Go
It
ahead.
doesn't. It's
I'll
irrelevant.
go back to it. Go ahead. Go ahead.
It's irrelevant. Only I'm saying is
It's
that
not though, but go ahead.
regardless of whatever that price point on that book, the reality is that book sales does not cover more often than not really doesn't cover the cost of the artwork or any of that cost of production. It's like I would venture to say, and this is just me speculating. I'm not saying I have all the answers, but I know this. I know capitalism. I understand capitalism enough to know that when you have two corporations like Marvel and DC that have so much control over the market, they could do this at a loss because it's like what they make in licensing covers anything that they would have put out in comics 10 times over. And I'm not even getting to the movies yet. What they make in licensing alone would cover practically anything that they put out for any of those comic books. The fact that they can, I'm without a shadow of doubt, I know that they could publish their books, every single one of their books at a loss. So it doesn't even matter the cost of production for them. It doesn't matter for them. It matters to all of us. That's why all the indies, they talk about raising their prices, getting paid what you're worth. Cool. But what I'm saying is the reason why it's been so low for all of these years is because they don't have to they don't they don't have to worry about those costs to a degree. They constantly make that money up in licensing,
Okay.
all right across the board. Then all they need is just one or two movies to pop, and it's like it just that's why oddly enough that's why they were sold to production companies. That's why the two major publishers were sold to production companies because they can see they have a really cheap, low cost um, um, machine at the very bottom, right? And they can make it. And they're like with all those they didn't buy the comic books, they didn't buy the books themselves. They bought the licensing. That's why that's why now what you'll notice is that some very even sacred, very extremely popular graphic novels and trades, right, from Marvel and DC are no longer being published now. They're sort of like it'll be very hard pressed to get books like um Miller's, Batman or things like that. Some of those graphic novels are being pulled from the catalog from now that they've switched from this from Diamond. Now that they switched from Diamond, they're pulling some of these larger books from very popular books. They're pulling some of these books. It's like they're no longer being available
Why?
because it was never about the books. It was always about licensing. It's like they've
That's
always
not
made their
true
money
though.
off of
That's not true, man. Like you got to tell me where you're getting information because you guys know me. I need facts. Like I need tell me the source, give me the numbers because if you're just using speculation, if you're
I'm not
just saying
speculating about I'm
okay,
not
but
speculating
when I
about the
ask
books
you,
being taken. I'm not speculating about the books being taken off the market.
right,
That's a fact.
okay, I'll look it up.
I'm not speculating about the fact that whether or not they're doing it or not, I don't know. I don't work for Marvel or DC. What I do know is that they're in a position to I know for a fact that those two companies for sure are in a position to they can there is no like catastrophic, oh, this book, lost its money, because there's every one of those books is just it's not their bread and butter. It's not what they that's why the comic book industry is constantly in jeopardy. They're always talking about this, like they're always threatening that DC is going to pull the comic books. They're always threatening that DC is going to, or Marvel's going to stop publishing comics. They're constantly, because at the end of the day, as long as they own the licensing,
Who's
they
they
can always,
though?
the Marvel and DC specifically. Like
Marvel and
for instance,
DC have
a
threatened
lot
to
of
pull books. I'm asking.
no,
I'm
like
asking for clarity.
there's every once a year, just like this comics, broke me trend. There's talk about, especially when there's usually a major shift. When DC left Diamond, right? There was a lot of talk about DC was going to stop publishing comics. That's what that was an idea that was going around a lot. There was a lot of speculation around from well-known sources and publishers in the industry that they were afraid that DC was going to pull out. When Marvel pulled out of Diamond, it was the exact same. It was the same conversation about them possibly when both Marvel and DC created their digital subscription basis. It was a threat that, oh no, they're going to stop printing books. It was always a threat because everybody knows that they can pull out of this at any time. They're not going to lose any sleep by all of a sudden that they wake up one morning and say, you know what, this is not worth it. They're firing major editors and production management and things like that on all these, it's like that have been there for decades. It's like it's sort of like, even if they're not putting out all together, they're putting out in inches out of the print industry. They've even sold a lot of their licensing. They've sold to other publications. There's other publications that publish Marvel characters, right? So it's sort of like they've already set up the system at any given moment. If they don't want, they want, say for instance, they say that, oh, IDW, you take over, you've already do Marvel Adventures or whatever, take over Captain America, take over Avengers, pay us. You're gonna pay us the right to publish it, so you're gonna take all the risk. But yeah, pay us to continue this licensing thing.
But
Because
Amani,
that's
you
where they make all their
understand
money.
the contradiction that you have there, though. You understand what I'm saying? Like, you're saying, well, Marvel is licensing out their, on a shorter basis, another company to publish certain books, which means that there's a demand there for those books to be published. Like, when you see, I think a lot of people I've always felt this way. So I'm going to start off saying this is my feeling. Okay. I'm not saying this is a fact, but my feeling is always, hey, Danny, what's going on? My feeling is always that people look at the 80s and not even the 80s. They look at the 90s and they use the 90s as the measuring point how to feel about where we are right now. The 90s, people were selling millions of copies of books. Youngblood sold 1 million copies. X-Men sold 1 million copies. They were selling a lot of books. And so, right, I agree with Jason. So people look at the Hallison days of the 90s, and now they look at now and they're like, man, comics is struggling. And I'm like, comics aren't really struggling. Like, even if you just go to like a Comic-Con, like just go to your average Comic-Con, people are buying books. People are buying. They might not buy a ton of Marvel or a ton of DC, but they might be buying a little bit of DC. They might be buying a little bit of Marvel, and they might be trying different things. They'll try a Ace Blade. They'll try a Lumberjacks. They'll try I'm one of them. I compared but we have to understand that markets shift. Just like people are, oh my gosh, Hollywood is going to be in the, movies are tanking and everything like that. because the market shifted. So you can't compare the market at its obscene, insane height and then look at it now and be like, well, we're not at that insane height. So we're in a dumpster fire. Because if you look at some of the Marvel books, they're selling like maybe 15, 20,000, 30,000 copies. If Ace Blade was selling 20,000 copies, he'd be one of the most successful comic books out there right now. But because it's a Marvel book and we are still looking at the 90s as, well, if you ain't doing 100K, something wrong, like it's not going to work that much because there's so much product out there now. So it's not a matter of it being a dumpster fire. It's a matter of expectations are skewed. And a lot of the people who do this speculating, and again, this is my opinion, a lot of the people who do the speculating that comics are, they're going to fall off and Western comics are going to fall away, is because they're thinking about the 90s and how many books and how books were being sold in the 90s. Mind you, a book like Secret Defenders that didn't have a superstar artist at all was selling like, 50, 60, 70, 80K. And again, you're talking about a period of time with limited internet, no social media, really, no real cell phones, no real smartphones. It was a different era, and comics were able to reign within that era. Comics can't reign within the era that we are in now because there's so much more competition. Which is why what'd you say?
I said, and because of movies. Like I'm waiting for you to finish, but because I
right. And the movies have done kind of what the cartoons of the 90s did in the early 2000s. They're bringing in a new audience, and that's what we're seeing now. We're seeing a shift. We're seeing new readers being indoctrinated in through the MCU movies. I'm telling you, I see it every con I go to.
That's a fact. Yeah,
these little kids, like everybody all talk about anime, but these little kids, they love Miles, they love Peter, they loved Avengers, they loved all that stuff.
They're reading both,
and they're reading both, and they're being indoctrinated in. So there is a shift coming, and once those little kids grow up, and if they continue to hopefully find their way in, they're gonna have money and they're gonna spend. But we can't keep looking at the 90s and being like, man, Spider-Man, not Spider-Man, but this book here ain't selling 60, 70, 80,000 copies like it would have in 1995. So, we got to cancel it. And that's kind of what Marvel does. And that's why I say that Marvel, a lot of people in Marvel and DC are still looking at the 90s. That's my opinion. But the numbers that you were talking about, the numbers don't agree with you about the state of the comic book industry. Sales are up. It's just that it's not all filtered through DC and Marvel.
I think parts of what both of you guys are saying is true from listening. Y'all welcome my bro Danny J Quick down at the bottom. Wasn't expecting my brother to make it.
We out here, bro.
I'll say this, and I want to let Danny get in. I think that parts of what you both are saying are true. I think because we've had the conversation about Western comics versus mangas, and whether or not that's killing the industry and all of that. And I don't know that I don't think it's killing the industry. I think it's just a different. Again, we talked about this before. It's generational. We talked about this before. It's generational. Like the younger generation, just like my daughter. Like I've said this before on the show. My daughter's generation, my daughter, my nieces, my nephew, they don't even play games. They'll watch somebody else play the game on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? Just using a different industry, right? It's just a difference in generations. Like it blows my mind. I don't understand it, and it makes me want to smack people. Like it, I'm like, bro, why would you want to watch somebody else enjoy what you could be enjoying yourself? That makes no sense to me. But for them, they don't care. They're just there for the story, which for me means everything because I love stories. I don't care what medium you're telling a story in. I love storytelling. So I think part of it is that it's just a change. Like I agree with what Jamon said. Like it's not, you're comparing it to a standard that was set before when things were drastically different. Just the same as the music industry. Like you can't compare music sales. We've done this on the show. You cannot compare not Magic. Michael Jackson and Janet Jackson's numbers and how many records they sold then versus streams. You can't. It's nowhere near. And the music industry is having the exact same conversation right now about how do artists get fairly paid for the amount of streams, because if you don't go on tour, you're broke. You're not gonna get paid off of streams. It's not gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? So that's a part of it too. But I also agree with what Amani was saying about especially when it comes to the big two and him talking about the licensing thing. Yeah, Marvel and DC don't need, they could legit never sell any new comics ever again, and they'd be fine, because they could.
I don't agree with that, but go ahead.
I think they would be fine because you already had they would have to find some type of, in my opinion, they could make offshoots like what we see what we see. They don't have. I think they would have to find a blend, because I think because you're feeding, the biggest thing for DC and Marvel right now is the movies. You know what I'm saying? So because again, like you just talked about, the movies are bringing people to the comics. You know what I'm saying? The TV shows are bringing people to the comics. You know what I mean? Because by and large, we're in a platinum age of TV and movies right now. Like it's amazing. The amount of, that's one of the biggest hopes that we have as indie creators, is that your stories will be told in some form, in some medium, whether it's TV or movies, because all of these industries are looking for new stories to be told, because Marvel and DC are recycling the same stories. You know what I'm saying? They're recycling the same stories, and you only got one MCU, and it's a continued universe. So you already did the Thanos saga. What else you gonna tell us about that? You know what I'm saying? Like you would have to wait till another generation for somebody to care about a new Thanos, a new Iron Man, a new, you know what I'm saying? Which is why they're trying to set up the Young Avengers right now in the MCU. They're trying to set that up. DC effed up horribly because they tried to catch. All of us watched that. They didn't have to do what they did. They tried to catch Marvel's MCU and where it was, instead of them just walking it up. And the only reason that I despise the DCEU the way that I do is because they effed up like that. I don't love Superman like that, but if you had walked it up the way that James Gunn and them about to do and just took your own pace, everybody would have been there to watch those movies. There's no question. Everybody loves Batman. Who doesn't love Batman? Like, I don't know anybody that says, man, I don't even like Batman. I don't know anybody that says that. And we've seen 50 million iterations of Batman, but if you made a continued universe Batman, it would smash. It would, because we see the numbers that they're doing, even though you keep putting a new person up as Batman all the time. The biggest issue they had was not building one connected universe. So to me, that feeds back into what I was saying. Like, I'm not saying that. I think if legitimately, Marvel and DC are not worried about how many comics they sell, because we're trying to make sure that we feed these people based on the table we already set. With these movies, with these TV shows, the movies and comics will never do the numbers that the movies and the TV shows are doing. It's impossible because the profit margins aren't there.
I won't say it's impossible. I think superhero movies, and I just superhero movies ain't gonna do that. Like, go look at the sales for like Dogman. Like Dogman putting up numbers. All right, like let's keep it a buck. Dogman putting up numbers. But go ahead, Danny. You ain't had a chance to talk, man.
Yeah, go ahead, Danny.
Hey, Dogman is putting up numbers, by the way. My son has all of those
numbers.
And I don't know if Dogman has a single TV show or a movie or nothing. I don't think they got none of that.
Yeah, Kyron, let me. I just want to say this real quick. Kyron, I agree with you. I agree with you. I think most people are tired of seeing them die. But again, the difference would be what James Gunn is getting ready to do, saying, hey, we starting this joint fresh. We about to come out with a continued universe just like Marvel. I promise you, people's butts will be in seats. I don't care. You won't care that you got to watch them die again. It won't matter. What matters is the reason the MCU works. The reason it works is because it's a continued universe. The only reason that Marvel changed movies where it was not a thing before the MCU for you to sit in your chair after the credits end. When the credits start rolling, you never sat there ever before Marvel movies to wait and see what was going to happen. The only reason that even works and the only reason it's even possible is because Marvel was alluding to this is getting ready to happen in our continued universe. And if DC executes the exact same plan in the exact same way that Marvel did it, they will. I'm not gonna say they're gonna destroy Marvel's numbers because X-Men is coming, but it would be drastically different numbers from what they're already doing just because it's a continued universe. So yeah, we only got to watch the Waynes die one time, but we know the next movie we're continuing this same story, and everybody's gonna show up. There's no way they won't. I'm telling you.
Go ahead,
Danny. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I didn't catch the convo earlier. I know y'all were probably talking about the comics. What was the hashtag? Comics
Broke
skill.
me.
Comics broke me.
Comics broke me.
For that, I think they got to figure out. The writers are doing it with the movie, the movie industry right now.
Lacey, you wild.
I think the only way the writers are gonna, have that leverage is if they, collectively get together and try to stop making comic books. Like the industry can't survive without writers and artists. The trouble is that they can literally find anybody to write Batman and it's gonna sell. They can get me to write Batman and Batman comic books are gonna sell.
That's a fact. And you'll get a notoriety from it.
And I'll
really, Daddy? No, I'm just
I'm about to say absolutely.
I'm saying, like, if they say, hey Danny, you got any ideas for Batman? It's hard for somebody like me who loves comic books and who's always dreamt to write.
He gonna put Batman in a purple suit.
That he gonna have 100%. He gonna have purple batarangs and everything.
Yeah. And Ace Blade showing up.
He did have purple gloves for a minute there.
They already just scratched Danny's name off the list just because they heard that purple batarang.
It might Kingdom Come. It might sell, but I think we be able to tell.
That's a whole nother argument, man.
Yeah, but
I still hate the AI thing, but that's a different conversation.
The problem is that the writers and artists are not gonna band together to. I mean, like the ones who are in the industry, they can break off and do their own projects, but that's not going to solve the in-industry, pay issues. So it's tough. I don't see a solution for that.
That's what I was saying. That's what I'm saying. Like when we talk about the talent, it's sort of like the Kirkmans, the McFarlanes, until they pay a living wage to their artists and creators. That's probably why you hardly ever see anybody other than McFarlane draw Spawn.
That's not true.
It's neither here nor there. All I'm saying
is
that
that's not true. Though. You can't just say something that's not true and be like it's not here or there.
The vast majority, who drew the vast majority of the Spawn collection?
Not Todd.
Catalog. Yes, it was Todd for a good degree of it.
Dude,
all right, man.
Dude,
all right,
Greg Capullo was drawing.
Okay.
No, Imani, though. Great. You can't just say something that's not true and then be like.
Eric Larson draws the majority of Savage Dragon, right?
Right, because he likes drawing. Who's he pay?
All I'm saying is, until that talent, this is where when you talk about the unity thing, until that talent pays other artists, pays it forward, so that other artists can eat, then it's not going to work. You can't. It's like from right off the bat, you can't. All I'm saying is this: Marvel and DC is not going to be the company to do it.
Yeah, but if Marvel and DC aren't going to do it, then how can you expect like an indie person to be able to?
That's what I'm saying. It's like when we hear these anecdotes, right? What I find really interesting, like the vast majority of these anecdotes,
you would never be able to pay. But the thing is
that the vast majority of these anecdotes, I venture to say, is artists dealing with indie small press publishing companies. Oddly enough, it's like, yes, it's like they might hate the page rates at Marvel and DC, but I venture to say that they will take that check if for no other reason than the fact that they will know there's a guarantee that check will come. They might have a problem with the page rate, but they have the security that they're going to cut them a check. They're not getting that same security from the smaller publishers that they might work with on a regular basis. I would venture to say that the vast majority of these anecdotes are coming from dealing with independent publishing companies that are taking advantage of very young, naive talent. And because, and like I said, until someone from Image Comics, an independent publisher who used to work with major publishers, who's creating his own publishing company, until Robert Kirkman and Skybound pays a living wage, and he sets a standard like that, you're going to be hard pressed to convince any other publisher to do that. You're not going to be able to you're not going to be able to because it would have to be an artist looking out for another artist.
I feel like you got that backwards. Just my opinion. I just feel like it's backwards.
What all I know is that
the
major publishers aren't going to do it. And
Right.
we're only talking about two. Everybody else underneath them, the third largest publisher is what? Image? They're not even a publisher. They're not even a publisher. They're a glorified distributor.
Yeah, but Imani, though, if you're saying, okay, let me make sure I want to make sure I'm hearing it correctly. You're saying that the smaller publishers have to set the standard of paying more for the larger publishers to follow suit.
I think what Imani is saying.
I'm asking.
That would change the industry, though.
What I'm saying is that I'm speaking to Danny's point when you're talking about the artists having to come together, and a part of those, some of those artists happen to be some of the most successful publishers working right now. And so, if they're going to unify, it's just like my analogy about the NFL players.
I definitely agree.
You got all these players at the bottom that's looking for all these different changes in their contracts and all this kind of stuff. It's always hard to convince those top players to go along because they already have the big contracts. So they're not looking to take any cuts, to go along just so you can get a little bit more.
That's a fact.
It's always hard to convince that the talent to go along. You can convince any of these rookies or any of these mediocre players or any of these bottom level creators to go along with this until somebody like a Kirkman, a Greg Capullo, Koipel, any number of different creators, until this top level talent decides they're going to go along with this too and demand a living wage and all this kind of stuff.
Okay.
It's not going to work. So it has to be somebody, like a Targ McFarlane, who is sort of like who has actually been able to reap the benefits of working independently. He was never locked into anything. He broke away. He was able to establish his own thing. He's sitting on his own hockey teams and all this kind of stuff.
It's a conflicting message, though. Like, I agree with you that the top level talent have to stand up for the people below them. That, hey, listen, we need to come together. Yes, I'm making more than you, but we're going to come together so that we can get a larger wage. Like, I actually agree with that, and that makes sense to me. But it doesn't make sense for smaller labels to set the standard, and because there are labels out there that pay very well to creators. There are smaller people out there that pay very well as let me rephrase that. They pay as well as they can pay.
Are they Todd McFarlane though?
But Todd McFarlane still don't have the resources that say like a Marvel does. So there's an industry standard, right? That's really the issue that we're having right now, is that there's an industry standard on the amount of money, the high and the low, for the most part, that creators can make. So like when you look at, say, Jim Lee before he became like publisher, Jim Lee Well, my understanding is making bank. Like Jim Lee is the guy making bank. Right? He would be the high end. There ain't a lot of Jim Lees out there. So everyone else is probably making closer to mid or low of the standard. I agree that from all spectrums need to come together. This is a lot of the talk about it having a union. And there's been a constant talk over the years of comic book creators coming together and having a union so that this thing can actually be standardized, which I agree with. But again, going to your point, it's hard to get the top guys to come together. I agree with that sentiment. I don't agree with the sentiment that we have to look for Todd McFarlane and Robert Kirkman to set a standard for that, because it would just be Robert doing it. I don't think the repercussions, I don't think it would reverberate on the level that you think it will. Because even if you look at the business industry, there's this guy, I can't remember his name, but he has a company where like his employees only work 4 times a week.
Yeah.
And they get equity and do all that stuff.
Like 60,000.
Right. He has been out there talking, grinding, whatever. How many of us still working 5 times a week if you got a 9-to-5 job?
That's not a niche end. I mean, that's
but my point is he's a smaller guy trying to set a standard. The smaller guy can't set the standard.
I don't think he's trying to set the standard as much.
Well, he's
as
trying to make change, and he's trying to make a change.
He's deciding what's going to work for his business.
No,
it's a moral.
He's trying though.
But so I agree with expecting.
I roll. This is me eye rolling.
What with that? Yeah,
I'm eye rolling.
We're not.
Expecting the big companies.
Hey, hold on, Morgan. Hey, that's the first time tonight. Me and Amadi was we did the same thing.
This bump, yeah.
What?
The comment from behind the scene.
That was the first time me and you same wavelength. We had the same thought at the same time.
Oh my! I'm not.
Don't even do it. Don't even do it.
I'm not saying nothing.
That'll take us all the way over.
Not saying a word. I am not. I'm not saying a word.
I wish Greg was on, because
I am not.
No, Greg would have ran with that.
We're not gonna do it.
No, Greg.
We're not gonna do it.
He's the richest comic book creator. No one's read his comic.
Oh my God, y'all are gonna do it anyway, huh?
I didn't say it. I just said I was thinking the same thing as
y'all
Amadi
do
at
it
the
anyway,
same time.
Has anybody in this room read it? Has anybody read it?
I was going to read it, but I couldn't order the standard copy. They only had the exclusive high price copies, and I wasn't gonna buy that. But I was gonna actually buy it and read it and review it on TikTok.
So no one. So I'm sure no one has read it.
I don't know anybody who's read it.
I plead the fifth.
I am not.
I plead the fifth.
For once, I'm not gonna bring smoke.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
For once, I'm not bringing.
All right, let's go back. Run it back.
Back to the point. Back to what Amani was saying, which I agree with. I think. Look, anytime you're looking to big business, or pretty much a monopoly, or they want to be a monopoly as much as they can until the government pulls them back, if they're gonna, to change a standard, it's not gonna happen. But if you get enough people that have notoriety, if you get enough people that have notoriety to do it, and then they create their own umbrellas up under that can work. You know what I'm saying? That can work, because instead of me going to DC and Marvel, F them. You know what I'm saying? I can go over here and work for a whole legend. But that's going to pay me better than DC and Marvel would in the first place. You know what I'm saying?
It's happening right now.
Yeah, but if it starts to happen, Amani's point is, if that starts to happen, if you get multiple people that are doing that, if you get Kurtman, all the names that y'all are giving, if you get all of them doing the same thing, that starts to create its own standard that then the big market has to either crush altogether or adjust to. They have no choice. Because they're losing. Number one, they're losing talent. Number two, they're
you guys aren't being realistic.
Okay.
The reason why I'm saying you're not being realistic is because what you're talking about happens right now. We just talked about Mark Miller. Mark Miller gets fantastic creators to come on his projects because he pays well and they get equity in the product. So Robert Kirkman, he played, from my understanding, Robert Kirkman pays well, and they get equity in the creation. What Marvel and DC have going for them is the same thing Danny was talking about.
Machine.
If they come to him and say, "Do you want to do Batman?" It's hard for him to put his fan card down and be like, "Nah, I'm good."
It ain't got to do with being a fan. It's the machine.
A, being a fan. B, your name on a what happened?
I was just about to say that there's not any celebrities left that hold the enough leverage to do any of this stuff that we're talking about. Even Jim Lee and Todd McFarlane and.
But y'all keep looking to the 90s.
But I'm saying
it's a different industry now. It's a different.
No, that's what Danny's saying is that there isn't anybody of that level.
I know, but I'm saying the reason why is because it was a different industry back then.
Like, then what is the leverage then? What is the leverage that we as creators could use against the industry to make them change? We don't have any because there's nobody who holds
that. You have personal leverage with you though, because you, Danny, are doing Ace Blade, right?
Yeah.
Ace Blade builds up steam. DC then decides to come to you. What's happening is a lot of creators are trying to go to Marvel and DC. And it's harder to do that because you don't have leverage going to them. Whereas if they come to you and say, "Look, we love Ace Blade, we want you to do Batman," then you have the leverage to go, "This is what I want to do Batman." And you can take it or leave it. And
that's why I think.
But how do I know that?
Hold on. I think we're. It's weird because we're falling into different conversations. Because the weird thing about this whole comics broke me thing is the fact that what I'm trying to get people to understand is the reason why Danny can do Ace Blade is because he can find the artists at extremely low rates, page rates. It's like if the page rates weren't what they are for the most part, we would not have. We would have. No, but I'm saying it's like because the page rates are
underpays his
like
own
the market is the way it is. Is the reason why because the market is the way it is, we can have the Isnanas, the Ace Blades, the you name it, because they can find talent that's willing to work at those low page rates. If there
but that's a foreign market issue though too.
That's what I'm saying. It's like if what would happen is if, say for instance, around the 90s when Image was created, if those creators were locked into agreements and they were getting gravy page rates and they were locked into exclusive agreements and stuff like that, a lot of this, the market would not be flooded with this crazy amount of artists and talent, which I'm not even saying is really.
I'm not saying they were getting paid though. They were getting paid very well. I understand that you're saying about
they were getting paid very well. They were looking at they were willing to make a bigger risk, right?
Yeah, but they were looking for risk for equity. They were looking for equity and to be their own boss.
That's what I understand that. So that's what I'm saying. Right. They had the talent and the resources to bet on themselves and take with the risk of, they don't have any job security whatsoever. Right. So it's like when we're having this conversation about, it's like if the conversation is about security, the main conversation is about job security. Either you're going to work for a gaming company or animation or somewhere that's far more secure.
Animation,
but
animation.
All I know is that somewhere in there's going to be that much more security compared to comics. Comics is at the bottom of the barrel when it comes to job security. We know that to be true. It's like it goes up from there because it's like I don't see when it comes to the creative industry, when parents come to me about asking them, it's like what should my kid do to get into comics? I'm saying comics is fun. He should build a career in gaming, character design. He should be able to. He should really look into several of these other businesses, storyboard and stuff like that, because I'm not saying it's, but compared to this year,
it's the same thing,
No, it's not.
It is absolutely the same thing. It's
boy.
different pay scale. It's a different pay scale, but
No.
they look, guys. My degree is in 3D animation. I know the industry. Trust me on this one. The
Javon,
majority of people working on Into the Spider-Verse and stuff like that, they are not hired.
but they're longer
as
term projects, though, right?
what?
They're
Huh?
longer term projects than
That's a longer term project, but you can end
So
that
longer
longer
term-
term project
longer term
and
is
have
more
a
security.
hold on, Danny.
longer term is more security, is what
It's not more security. If after that project is done, you ain't got a project, you still
Okay,
got to go find another
if
project.
my
Danny.
project if my project is a year versus 2 months, a year project is more secure than a 2-month project, though.
But it's not. But you're honestly, y'all got to talk to some animators, man. You work harder. You work harder in animation than you do. They are literally underpaid. They were on. Remember the year? What's the name of the movie?
I'm not saying they're not underpaid. I didn't say that.
Huh?
I didn't say they're not underpaid.
But the point being is that you're talking about security, and I'm explaining to you it's the
Right.
same issue. The same issue. Hold on. Meadow Shade made 100K last year on Kickstarter. He's still talking Kickstarter. I'm telling you that people that are working in the industry, not the entertainment, in the animation industry, even gaming industry.
I'm trying to get there, bro.
I know. Most of them are freelancers, which is why, if you remember a couple of months back, there was the whole controversy about people working on Marvel films on the 3D animation and stuff like that. They were overworked, they were underpaid, and after a while they would be getting fired. Like, that industry is it's literally the same thing. The only difference is you make more money, but you don't get benefits. You're not getting benefits.
Right, but
You're getting 6 months, or you might not even get a year, because you might get paid for a specific
I agree,
thing.
Mason.
You might get paid for this
we agree
specific
with you,
thing to
Javon.
animate, and then you're done.
I agree with you, Javon, and I'm saying that still more money and more time is more security. If you're a freelancer, if I'm a freelancer and I can work in comics or I can work in animation, the better route to go is in animation, though, right?
I think it's honestly, I think it's half a dozen of the other. It depends on what you want to do. Because if you're a freelancer and you go into animation, again, you could do a project that lasts you 6 months. But there's no indie market out there for anime. Not really. And very few people be like, all right, I'm going to start up my own independent, cartoon company. Like, you can. Like, I can be a freelancer and go to Marvel, right? Let's say I'm a freeman.
That's what Bonnie was saying. Again, that's what I'm saying. If you're working in animation, you're most likely going to be working for a company, a corporation, not some dude like me or Morgan or you who's saying, "Hey,
Yeah,
I'll pay you $100 per page," and then you might not ever get paid, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yes, you might not get paid in animation to do. I really want you guys to do a little bit of research.
More likely than not, then I'm
dude. It happens a lot. It happens a lot.
Not as much as in comics, though, right?
All right, man. Just do me a favor. When this is over, just Google it.
I'm asking you.
Go look at how many animators are not paid for their work
compared to how many people are not paid in comics.
But it's a different. Again, if we're talking about, you're talking about comparing two totally different industries, right? These are totally different industries, totally different scale of money involved. I'm talking about the same sentiments exist between both industries. Neither of them are known for their stability. Neither of them are known for stability.
I agree with
Both of them are, we want you to do this job, we're going to pay you this amount of money, and then we're going to let you go. Unless you are a rock star. If you are a rock star, then yes, you can get hired on and then get billed and then get the same amount and then get a higher level of pay plus benefits, just like if you're a rock star in comics.
That's why I'm saying that what's going to happen is that, because if you want this to work, what's going to happen is that there's not going to be as much talent. The talent pool is going to shrink. We're going to be working with the most talented, because if we're going to pay, if I'm a company, if I have to pay a living wage, I'm going to pay the most talented creator that I can afford.
Fire.
because I won't need to. I can't afford to have a room full of mediocre folks. I just
Forward to not
sign
record.
sign a really extremely talented artist to a really extremely lucrative arrangement. So it's sort of like, so immediately the amount of talent in the industry is going to shrink, and then since you're only
No.
dealing with a handful of talented artists, the amount of product that's in the market is going to shrink. It's not going to be this glut of books in the market every week that it is right now. It just won't, because there won't be as much. Because if
Be a good thing.
if the artist if the artist can convince any number of publishers to pay them a living wage, they're not going to produce the amount of product that they produce right now. It's going to be more of a luxury item.
I'm
It's not going to
confused.
be.
No, I'm
It's not.
confused. I just disagree with it. The talent's not just going to disappear. People aren't just going to be like, oh, I'm just going to put my pencil down and stop drawing. Like
No, I
they'll
think-
still.
No, what I'm saying is, it's like if a comic book artist, right, is demanding the publisher he works with, he's demanding that this publisher gives him a living wage, right?
Yeah,
Right.
I'm listening.
So he walks in that door, the living wage agreement begins. They're not. It's probably not going to be, and it's not going to be nowhere near as comfortable as it was for him as a freelancer. He's going to have to work at the studio.
Okay.
Number one, the work that he creates are going to be owned by the studio. He's not going to be able to take that home or sell it, the original pieces, any of that kind of stuff. It probably won't be any issue. It's like immediately, as soon as that person is an employee, then like the employee game plays out. I'm paying you exorbitant amounts of money. These are the arrangements of, this is what the arrangements are for this amazing living wage.
I'm following.
And
Come on.
Because the company, just like you were saying, like a lot of these smarter companies might not be able to afford to pay all this talent this crazy amount. So but they'll be able to bring in the talent that they can afford, and the talent that they can afford is only going to be able to produce so much. So it's like, because you don't have this plethora of talent that you could get on the cheap anymore.
I think
you got to pay
for money.
Huh?
I think they can afford it.
Maybe. All I'm saying is this.
You think Marvel and DC can afford? Absolutely.
Afford it.
All I'm saying is that,
but we won't. I understand what you're saying.
But all I'm saying is that the glut is not even a good portion of the glut is coming from Marvel and DC for sure, and they're taking advantage of a lot of cheap labor. Okay. But a lot of that glut is also coming from indie publishers as well, and they're taking advantage of cheap labor as well. So as soon as that cheap labor is cut off, you're not going to get as much product. It's immediately going to. It's like that all that product that you were just shutting out, books, variant covers and all this other kind of stuff. That's out the window, because this is not going to be enough money to produce it all.
I think
like
there's
half of
a lot of creators out there, dude.
So like you're saying that even if the curators come together, demand a living wage, there's going to be plenty of other talent that's really going to be there, that's going to undercut them.
If we're talking
which
about
makes this whole thing move,
okay,
makes the whole
but
point
if you're
move.
saying the creators get together and demand a living wage, my question is, who are they demanding a living wage from, right? So
Marvel and DC.
Okay, cool. Let's run with that. Marvel and DC. Let's just stick with Marvel and DC.
And we're about to get off this too.
That's fine. If we're talking about them going and demanding a living wage from Marvel and DC, I agree with you that the amount of books that they put out are going to shrink. Now, those same people, as much as they want, they're not going to be able to demand that same level of money from an indie creator or whatnot. And that's why you would still have people coming in and working with, say, Mark Miller or Danny J. Quick or Morgan Iverson and being like, okay, look, if you pay me this, but you give me equity in this creation that we put together, we can work together. So, yes, I agree. Marvel and DC that's the only people who really you can demand a living wage from. Now, you can demand a living. They can come to me and say, Javon, I need you to pay this, 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 and this. And I can be like, I can't. And then another creator will be like, well, I don't need this, and this. I just need this and this. And I'll be like,
That's
but
why,
I'll take that's
and
it's always
and
going
this
to
is
happen
why,
that way.
and this is why we will probably won't get to this idea that there's going to be a living wage, because there's always going to be a creator that's going to be willing to take less. That's
Yeah,
why.
but there can
That's
be a
why.
living
That's why
wage
it's so
from the
problem.
big two,
That's why
though.
it's so problem. That's why it's so problematic in the
But there
music
can be a living
It's
wage
always
from
gonna
the
be.
big two, though.
That's the first thing I said 30 minutes ago.
It's like that's why it's always going to be
You-
problematic,
But that's
because
like saying, well, let's not
no,
try.
it's like because
Okay,
since
I'm
there's
willing
not
to move on.
no one's winning going to. It's like there's no hard line. So if you're gonna let the indies, the quote unquote indies, right, the Todd McFarlanes and the Skybounds and all that kind of stuff, if you're gonna let them skirt the issue and
They're
let
not
them pay a
skirting the
lower
issue. They
rate,
can't. All right,
no,
go ahead.
if you
Let's
if
do
you let
let's do
them pay
top
a lower
five.
rate,
I disagree, man. I disagree. We're gonna agree to disagree. That's cool though.
Oh, y'all, we're about to do the list.
We can agree. I agree to disagree. It's cool.
I was I was gonna
Go ahead, Mort.
we can absolutely continue the conversation.
Yeah, I mean, if we can do it, we can continue after. I just don't.
Or this weekend, if I hope I make it. But
That's right.
But the Mason said this twice. I agree that Kickstarter has definitely changed the game in a lot of ways, especially for indies. But God knows, for somebody like Todd McFarlane and them, like, I don't care what Todd McFarlane puts on Kickstarter, it's over. Like, he could not market. He could not market and not put out ads, and it's still over. So there's multiple ways for people of that level and even up under that level. Huh?
Didn't he put out something on Kickstarter?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, he did a spawn on
And it
Kickstarter.
destroyed. It destroyed. Just Keanu Reeves destroyed it. You know what I'm saying? If you have a name and you go to Sebastian just did what? Sebastian launched. They launched Niobe, and like 4 hours they were at like 40,000.
Oh,
You know what I'm saying?
I'm
So it is
$3 million.
I'm just yeah. So my only point is, and I'm saying that to close, and like I said, we can come back to it later. We can talk about the industry like it is a moving target, but I do believe Kickstarter especially is helping to give indies especially another avenue, because now when you're looking at, because me and Danny have talked about this multiple times, when you're looking at profit margins, especially for an indie comic creator, because we were talking about prices for the comics, right? When you're looking at profit margins, especially, Kickstarters help you tremendously. That's why I thank our backers as much as I do, because I'm like, yo, y'all don't understand what y'all are doing, because we have to come out of pocket to pay these artists to get the content made. But when we get Kickstarters and have backers that are going to back you from rip, you know what I'm saying, or whatever, and they back you and you get your product, now the money that you spent to create this content, you know what I'm saying, now you've recouped that. You've at least if you're making your project and you're not trying to get back at least what you made, what you put into it to get it made, then that's on you. But at that point, you've at least made it back to the line, so that everything going forward should be profit past what you have to print. But you should bake your costs into what it costs you to print. So that I'm just saying, like, there are multiple ways to look at this issue to try to solve it. And I think all of what we've said, this is a nuanced issue. There's no one, this is the answer. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I said, like, it's definitely a conversation. It seems like we got good engagement, so it's something we're gonna have to come back to. But I do want to get into the list before everybody had to jump off, because it's 9:30 now. So
No.
Would y'all write for Spider-Man and Batman for free?
I ain't got time to do nothing for free, bro.
I don't love Batman that much. Not unless Batman's black. If he's black, I might. If he's black and they tell me they're gonna give it like a full run, like,
no,
you know what I'm saying? Like, if it's
I just did Jace Fox.
This goes back to the trade. This goes back to the trade-off. If my name's gonna be on that comic when it goes out, I'll be willing to do that. Why? Because now my name's on that comic, and all I have to do is get them joints sold. Once I do, the next Kickstarter we drop for Lumberjacks, popping. Do you hear me? We about to be because we making new fans. Because at
Unless
that
people
point, it's
don't
on
like
me
it.
now. It's on me
That's
now
a-
to make sure the story is good enough.
That's my whole point with all of this. It's sort of like
Not if
the
5
set.
of them
So
Batman.
so many of these success stories that we see in the indie market are from creators. Were from creators that basically were willing to take that risk in the beginning.
Yeah,
They
but
took
that wasn't a bit. That was, I mean, it was a risk, but it was like a calculated risk.
Macy.
There's a difference between like,
That was good.
I'm gonna take a risk to write Batman and Spider-Man for free, and I'm friggin' Jim Lee, and I'm gonna put out my own book. Like,
that was bad funny.
they were gonna follow him wherever. They were gonna follow. Todd just sold like 1 million copies of Spider-Man.
There was no guarantee they were going to follow. that
right.
Fans were going to follow them. That was never a guarantee.
I didn't say guarantee. I said it was a calculated risk. Well, let's do the list. Let's do the list. Let's do it. Because Dan, I can see Danny's like his internal clock on his forehead.
I've been.
We definitely let's do the list. What you say?
Let's do the list. If we want to go back to it, we go.
I drove 8 hours today, so I'm barely making it right now.
So let's do our list. And if people want us to come back to the conversation, we'll definitely come back to it.
Hey, before I get to the list, when are y'all coming up? When are you supposed to be coming up this weekend? Are you staying up? You staying up there, right, Danny?
Probably one night. I'll probably stay one night, either Friday or Saturday. It just depends.
Man,
but I'll be there all 3 days.
I know, but you only staying up one night. It's like a 2-hour drive for you, right?
Yeah, I'm right down the street. It's an hour and a half for me. I ain't worried about it.
I don't know behind the scene. I have no idea.
Yeah, that's a whole nother conversation.
That's what I'm saying. We try not to.
I'm not getting
put one up on my website today, but it ain't gonna be legitimate.
Yeah, I'm
trying not to. I have a crowdfunding service on my website. It's called Go Buy My Book.
Go buy the book.
Just buy the book. You can buy it online.
You ain't got to pre-order nothing.
You ain't got to pre-order nothing. You get it in a couple days. All right, go ahead.
Y'all want me to go first?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right.
Top 5 indie characters.
Indie characters
that are not your own.
It wasn't gonna be nothing that we own anyway on this.
I'm just saying, don't do it.
All right, so I put my number 5 as Witchblade, and I'm gonna say Witchblade because of one reason. I've never read a single Witchblade comic, but I absolutely know who Witchblade is at every moment.
I hate Danny so
from the
much.
moment it came out, from the moment it came out to right now.
I hate Danny so much.
Number 4, Invincible. Invincible has taken a leap for me. I actually just recently started reading the Invincible comic books because of the series. I'm one of those people. When I heard about Invincible in comics, it was already at 180 issues or something like that. So I was super late to the game, and I was like, I'm not about to catch up. So, but now with the resurgence, I'm on it. Number 3, the OG Hellboy. Hellboy is at number 3 for me. Movies, everything, action figures, all of that, iconic design and everything. Number 2, this might be a cheat, but I think Dr. Manhattan fits as an indie character. Dr. Manhattan. No, that's not Dr. Manhattan.
No, it was published by DC Comics.
It's DC now, but it wasn't when it.
Yes,
came
it was. Out. It was it's always DC.
Okay,
always.
I'll with you. All right, I'll trade that one out then. Number 1 is Spawn. I think Spawn is going to be number 1 on everybody's list.
You better be.
So, okay, all right. DC Comics.
Watchmen was published by DC Comics.
Hell no, it ain't gonna be number 1 on my list.
Man, I'm not. Danny, what's your number 2? I'm not even.
We'll just move my whole list up, and then we're gonna put Dogman at 5. So Dogman will be 5. Everything else go up. I'll put it in the chat. So Dogman 5.
Hold on. All right, wait a minute.
Go ahead, Danny. Go ahead, man.
Hold on.
I'm not even done with my list.
Y'all don't like Dogman?
I'll go next.
All right, I'll go.
Hold on, wait. Right. Wait a minute.
I know it's a damn shame, right?
No, don't worry. Don't do it, Danny. Hold on.
All right,
said
listen, I'm gonna
Dog
keep it a
Man?
buck. There are a lot of great indie
Danny said Dog
characters.
Man? Okay.
There are a lot of great black indie characters, but they don't have the longevity that some of these characters have. The longevity and the weight. That's all I'm saying.
Spawn
All right,
is black,
yeah, Spawn is black.
technically.
All right, I'm gonna go.
Yeah, when he has his skin. Yeah,
He's black now. Somebody told me he's black now. He's not burnt no more.
Who black?
Burnt is not black.
Nah, he's black. Like
Who
he's not
won
burnt.
He said he crispy.
Who going next?
All right, I'll go. Number 5. This is tough. I got a couple of them that are tough.
Nigga, you better
Number
say.
5, I got Rick Grimes from Walking Dead. Rick Grimes, especially with it's literally one of the most successful comic books of all time, and in the TV show, when people know how Rick Grimes talks, like that's Rick Grimes. Number 4. I hate you.
I can't say it because I'm typing.
Number 4, Invincible, of course. I mean, again, long running, successful comic book, standard. Number 3, can I cheat a little bit?
No.
Let me cheat.
Nigga, yeah.
You didn't cheat. You just wrong. So I'm gonna pick. So I wanted to say the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Nope.
But I'm just gonna pick one of them. Too. I'm gonna pick one. I pick Raphael. I pick Raphael.
Not the most. What?
I pick Raphael.
Okay.
Well, you know what? No,
absolutely either 3 or 4.
You think he's 4?
He's either 3 or 4. He's not.
Leonardo is definitely number 1.
Leonardo or Michelangelo?
Actually, Michelangelo. I take it back. Michelangelo is number 1. Number 1 would be Michelangelo. Michelangelo is my pick. Michelangelo is my pick.
You already said Raphael.
You already said Raphael.
Nah, Michelangelo is my pick. He got to change one of his. Danny got to change one of his.
Because that was wrong.
Danny got to change one of his.
Because that was wrong.
Y'all yelling at me about my pick. Michelangelo is my pick.
Yeah, whatever. Man.
Number 2, Hellboy.
Mad Crispy Kingdom.
What? You got Tourette's up there, man.
I swear.
He mad crispy. He mad crispy.
Who, Hellboy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Kingdom said he crispy. I said, yeah, he mad crispy.
He talking about Spawn. And then number 1 is Spawn. Number 1 is Spawn.
All right. I'll go next. Yeah, one of mine. I'm about to. Yeah, well, I don't care. I'm going with it. All right. So number 5, Invincible. I struggle because I wanted to put Omni-Man there. Y'all know I am about an antagonist, but Invincible is number 5.
He is just a villain.
Number 4, I got Homelander. I think there's so much that you could do with that character that is relevant to culture today. It's so anyway. Homelander is my number 4. Number 3, I got Nana, right? I'm not just saying it because Greg's my guy. I'm not just saying it because Greg's my guy. I'm saying it because of the importance of the story. What Greg is doing.
Like the Homelander shouldn't count.
What Homelander definitely counts. What Greg
under DC Comics.
What Greg is doing.
Wildstorm though, that's not.
It's owned by DC Comics.
Listen.
Go ahead.
What Greg is doing through the Is Not Not Comics is very much so needed. It's very, very much so needed, and he's doing it extremely well. He's doing it at a high level.
Absolutely.
He thinks I tell him that all the time. He thinks I'm just saying it because we hate each other, but love each other at the same time. So, but it's extremely needed. He does it at a high level. I'm very proud of him. That's my number 3. Number 2, Negan. I mean,
what you call me?
No, if I wanted to call you that, I'd just say it. Negan is number 2.
Negan.
Number 2?
Yeah.
Negan, please.
Negan to me is the best. You gotta remember now. I'm
Negan,
coming in
please.
from everything. I'm one of those guys that came in backwards. You know what I'm saying? So I'm coming in from TV or movies back to the source. You know what I'm saying? Because I had no idea Walking Dead was even a thing till Danny told me like 2 years ago. I had no idea it was a graphic novel. So
what? Man, we're gonna fight,
Morgan
man.
don't read, man.
Bro,
Morgan don't read.
Why do we have this conversation every time?
Morgan don't read, yo.
I don't understand.
I tell you what, check it out.
No,
we should create. No, check it out. We should create a show, just simply introducing Morgan.
We tried, dude.
Popular
they
comic.
It ain't gonna work.
It's not gonna work.
It's not gonna work.
Correct. It's not.
No, that would be great.
Danny's been trying to get him to read books. I have suggested books for him.
That's
to read.
horrible.
Morgan only reads.
I read books.
Morgan reads audiobooks.
That's correct.
Ain't nothing wrong with audiobooks. I'm with you. Audiobooks are
man. He be on page 50.
Audiobooks are dope. But come on, man.
Nick is number 2. Number 1 is obvious Spawn. That's my
no.
You got Negan over no Hellboy.
I'm not a fan of Hellboy at all.
Hellboy got 3 movies. Damn.
I'm not
and a video game and a cartoon.
I'm not a fan at all.
Don't do that.
I've never ever at any point been interested in Hellboy ever. Not even slightly.
2 of them were watchable for sure.
2 of them were good, dude. What are you talking about? The first one was good and the second one was really good.
The second one was really good.
You didn't like the second one?
I think I liked the
I would never watch Hellboy, just to be honest.
All right.
Why? What's wrong with Hellboy?
All
right, Dag Nabbit.
It ain't for me.
All right, Amani.
Oh snap! He just said Dag Nabbit.
No, he brought.
Leave it to me to give the
old timing.
Let me say this before Amani go. The only reason I don't have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on this list is because we said character, and I was like, I'm not gonna put Leonardo.
We said characters.
No, yeah, he did.
Says top 5 indie characters.
He did actually, but we're not about to cheat today.
Okay.
I'm not putting them. I mean,
I'm doing this. My list is for the culture. I don't think I'm going to win, but I felt it only right.
The Crow.
My top 5. My top 5 are the black indie characters that I know that are making moves now, that have been historically relevant, and I think it's going to be a big part of comics in the near future.
Go ahead.
So this is my top 5. Number 1 is Brother Man.
5.
Oh, 5. I'm sorry. Number 5 is Mace Day Black for my man Keith.
Who?
What's the name of the book?
The book is Day Black. The main character Keith. The main character Mace. I'm sorry.
Keith Cross.
Day Black. Yeah. Number 4 is Static.
Nope.
Yes.
That's DC, right?
No.
Yes. No. There's Milestone.
No.
It's Milestone.
No.
Milestone is published by DC Comics. It's not an
it's distributed by DC Comics. It's owned by Milestone.
No,
I'm counting it. It's independent.
It had a DC bullet on the cover.
You can't count it, bro.
It had a Milestone bullet too. We got a Milestone bullet too.
It's not. It's not an indie, bro.
Nah, dude. He half black. He half is half black.
No.
It's half indie.
No count.
Is that yes it do?
No, bro. That's why we got Batman on there. It's DC clearly. I know DC.
Does it not have the Milestone logo on it?
Morgan said he knows it's DC.
I know it's DC. There ain't no motherfucking way.
Hey, if Morgan called that out immediately, you know.
I call that indie. Well, I'm gonna keep it on my list. I don't care what y'all say. All right, so number 3, I got Harriet Tubman, Demon Slayer.
Okay.
My man, David Crownson. Morgan, I got my daughter, the one I told you about. She was autistic. She back here talking about Jesus. She put Jesus on the list.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
That's Dahlia. She said Jesus. Say hi, Dahlia.
That is a perfect pick, though.
She said Jesus. She was back there. She like Jesus. Right. What you gonna do? You can't argue with Jesus.
You right. I can't say nothing against Jesus.
People got them Bible comics.
People got them Bible comics out there. I see the few of them.
Number 2, right? Number 2, it's Nana. For the exact same reasons. And I promise you, if Greg is listening, like I hit him up today because I actually read the Anansi than a Nazi static comic that just came out. Well, it came out today. And the first page, I was like, "Yo, it looked like a page out of volume 2 of Isnana, where he fights hornets." And I was like, "Yo, it looks like they took this from you." And he was like, "No, it's a part of a Nazi lore." But I was like, you know what? Even still, you know what I'm saying? It just goes to show that, you know, the type of work he's putting out there. And last but not least is Brother Man for me, because that had a personal impact on my life, and it did. We talk about numbers and history and stuff like that. It did numbers in the 90s, and it's extremely relevant. The artist is actually. Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to point something out about Greg.
I didn't put static in it before, so
y'all know how we were talking about how Greg Burnham just be sitting there and people just walk up and just like just buy a book. He don't even got to pitch them. Dude, I saw Greg doing the same damn thing this weekend, man.
Greg
he ain't even got a pitch, man. People just be walking up. What's
don't
this?
Even say nothing to people, bro. He just
they just put money in his hoochie short.
They just be like, oh
yeah, he just wears hoochie short.
They put his money right there.
Like he important.
20.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, they come
right
down
there. Bro. I saw it this weekend. I'm out there like begging people. He over there like people just walk up to the table like,
Greg just be minding his business, bro.
Yeah,
at all times. I didn't put static on the list, bro. So I'm about to post. You got 4.
You got a blank.
I don't care.
You got a blank.
I don't care.
You don't even have a number 1.
Heat in there, man.
You don't even have a number 1. So
just throw heat.
I don't even have a number 1 because I'm one short.
Yeah, you one short, cuz. You know what I'm saying? You got to
put static in there. That's not indie, bro.
Yeah, it is static.
It's not.
Ain't no way, bro. Ain't no way.
Ain't no way.
That's some bull crap.
Ain't no way, bro. That's why I be putting Luke Cage on my list.
Put 15 years in at 5. Go on, put.
And for the record, hey, check it out. Savage. Spawn ain't on my list.
Yeah, because
Todd McFarlane
is disrespectful.
Because Todd McFarlane, the way he explains it, I've never liked the way he has presented. Why he literally took off his skin, so his blackness isn't relevant. So it's like supposedly he believes his blackness keeps him from being a hero. So he literally took his skin off so that he could become a hero. This is Todd. This? You can find it on YouTube.
I've never heard.
It's a direct quote. I've never liked the way he handled that character.
Send me the link because
it's like
please.
And you can if y'all and I'll tell you what, if y'all find the artist that has been on a regular run of Spawn, like
Greg Capullo did like 100 issues, bro.
Greg is not black.
You said that's not Todd.
No, that's black.
Oh,
he rarely, if ever, works with black creators. Rodney Barnes is making history because he was able to convince Todd to put Spawn in the Philadelphia book, which I think is amazing because
Rodney Barnes the man though.
Rodney Barnes should be writing Spawn, but Rodney Barnes hasn't written Spawn. He's not. He should be writing Spawn. He should be writing Batman too. But that's not the whole.
But that's a larger. That's a larger argument.
I'm not on. I'll never put Spawn on the top 5 list.
I'm gonna find this list.
Anything
I'm gonna find this clip that you're talking about, and
I'm gonna send it to you.
Please, I love to see that because I had never heard.
I wrote a whole thing about it. It's like I'm not. That's always disgusting.
Williams' list is pretty decent. Savage Dragon could have been on the list too because he's the only. I respect the fact that Eric Larson does every single book. Like
Michonne being over Negan and Rick Grimes, good. Okay, congratulations.
I'm down with that.
It's she had a dope introduction, but I mean, Jesus.
I mean, everybody know the sword in the braids.
Yeah,
like the amount of people I see cosplay as Michonne.
Yeah,
that's a lot, man. Those 3 characters are the only 3 ones you really see. Maybe the son. What's his name too? But he's not in the book. The old boy with the crossbow.
Daryl,
but he ain't in the book though.
Yeah, he's not a book character.
Yeah, Carol, man. Carol made it way longer than she does in the book. Don't she die in like the beginning in the graphic novel?
Mm.
She made it through the end of the actual freaking show.
Yeah, I don't think Carol lasts that long. Carol, what's the name lasts longer than in the book, but not in the show.
Who?
What's the woman?
Who did?
Can't remember her name. The blonde girl who was sleeping with
Oh
Negan.
no, I don't know who it is.
The blonde girl that was sleeping with Negan in the TV show, and then she got killed.
Some white lady.
Amani, Exo Man of War sure made your list.
Exo Man of War.
I mean, not
Exo Man of War.
Exo Man of War. Exo from.
Exo
from Unique Publishing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I sure did say Exo Man of War. It just came out. I didn't even
No.
Black Sands characters.
Ooh,
I'm sorry, what?
Was a sword.
I was just asking.
I'm sorry, what?
the little bald headed boy from Black Sands.
Honestly, I'll be
from Black
perfectly
Sands,
honest with you. In all respect, I've never read a Black Sands book, not because I don't want to.
Y'all being messy.
Just because I didn't get one when I met the guy. I should have got one when I met the dude.
I read one.
The way my bank account was set up,
I read one.
I can't.
I mean, it's high quality stuff, man.
I can't get the book. You know what I'm saying? I got to change.
I don't hate on nobody that's hustling. Ain't nobody putting
money from savings.
You could have put
checking.
You know what? Listen, take Static off his list and put Acolyte. All right?
No,
we got you.
No,
Acolyte. That's a good one.
His list is his list. Static just does not belong on it. That's all.
I'm trying to help you out, man. I'm trying.
No, ain't gonna be
Static should be on his list. It's an
indie, bro.
Indie.
Yo, did Blank Man or Meteor Man ever have comic books?
Meteor Man, yes.
Meteor Man, yes.
That was after the movie.
What had I think the film adaptation came out around the same time, and then there was a regular series that came out after.
Nah, it wasn't a miniseries. It was a miniseries, right? It was limited.
It was a single issue. It was a single issue about the film adaptation, the one that had Robert.
No, I'm talking about the series.
Right, and then there was a series. Right.
Yeah, it was like it had like Spider-Man was in it, and
right.
Oh, Marvel it's not indie no more, I guess.
It was never indie. It was Marvel. That was back. See, it's funny. Back then.
No, 90s, it was still technically because he still owned. It wasn't a Marvel property when the movie came out.
Yeah, but when it was a comic book, when it became a comic book, then it was a Marvel property.
No, I don't think so.
It wasn't an indie book.
Why would it be? Why would it be a Marvel property?
That's like Conan. That's like Conan. Conan was licensed by Marvel, and it was a Marvel book.
But that don't mean it's a Marvel property.
It's a Marvel property at that time.
Yeah, it could change hands, but I don't think.
I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think Meteor Man is a Marvel property.
No, but it was licensed by Marvel. Is what I'm saying.
Right.
That doesn't make it an indie book. Though. Indie book would be.
Yeah, it would be indie because it's like they don't own it; they just distributed it, they just published it,
man.
They license it.
Pick somebody else for your number 4.
Meteor Man.
He trying hard, man.
Take that. Jerk face.
I don't care. I'll put him in there.
So bad.
I'm gonna put it up there too. I just know Static ain't going in there. That's what I do know.
I'll say this though: the '90s though, that was the best time if you were indie creator to get your joint made into a movie. Because back then they was putting anything out.
Man, you can make a movie right now, bro.
They had Tank Girl
looking, bro. Which reminds me, Black Mirror comes out tomorrow. Yeah.
Oh, is that tomorrow?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Make a movie right now, bro. The amount of special effects that you can do with just Premiere and dang on TikTok filters. Like you could make a whole movie right now on your phone with the apps and stuff that we have, special effects, all of that, decent editing, iPhone quality. Anybody can make one.
Everybody
going up right now.
Everybody, we gonna be at Heroes Con, literally sitting next to each other.
Literally,
at least Friday. Weekend. At least Friday, hopefully, maybe.
I'm gonna be there all week.
Hopefully, maybe.
Listen, I little man, I don't. It depends on when you get this started.
We got Roland is on the other side of me. Danny
Yeah,
is
Rose
Morgan
gonna
on
be
the
there.
other
Wally's
side,
gonna be there.
and
I'm
then
sure Greg's gonna
Wally
be there.
is next to them on the other side.
I'm
And
sure
when you
Greg.
come, as a matter of fact, if you come into Heroes Con, literally, you come into the door and literally just go back to the street. Just go.
We're in the back of the bus, yo. We're in the back of the bus.
But we still in Indy Isle, right?
Yeah.
We technically we are.
Dang, bro.
So
We all the way in the
walk
back,
into
yo.
the door and walk.
Just
straight
keep
to the back.
walking.
And then
Ignore
look
everybody else. Just ignore everybody else and walk to the back. And you
Yeah, I mean, little man's doing good. So I don't know what's gonna happen yet. You know what I mean? So normally, you know, but that ain't.
I was trying to do a show while I was down there, but you know they racist. These two gentlemen are racist.
Hey, I'm down.
I'm racist when I need to be.
If Morgan will be there, I'll be there, bro. I mean, we don't need Morgan to do it.
Where you staying though? I don't know where you staying, dude.
I'll be available. I'll be available.
Are you in a hotel or you somewhere?
No, I'm not. I was going. I'm not sure yet. I'm not. It depends on if the kids come or not. So we'll see.
It's because I'm in limbo. Because last year we just got a room. So
yeah,
I should have got one. It was cheap.
I could not. I
know you. I understand why you could not.
Yeah.
Wally live down the street and
he don't live far. Oh, okay.
Yeah, Wally don't live far. He said I might be able to just, I don't mind sleeping on the floor. I'm down with it. But if the kids come, then I'll grab a room, or I just come home. Or I just come home because I'm right down the street. So,
that's not right down the street, bro.
To me, hour and a half.
You said it's an hour and a half. I did that this weekend. I drove back and forth to New York for Brooklyn instead of because the hotel was like $400 per night.
So they gave you your money back.
Gave me my money back. I just turned my card off.
Oh, yes,
I just turned the card off. I was like, I'm not paying this. I'm just not going to show up.
Extremely ghetto.
They ran that joint. It didn't go through,
but it worked though.
The poll is up in the group, y'all. Make sure you go vote.
For the hotel. Shoot, that's almost as much as I paid for Heroes Con's hotel, and that's for 3 nights.
Support blackness, black people.
Absolutely,
I'm supportive.
Appreciate you for coming through once again, Imani. We appreciate you, bro. Definitely got to.
It's always a good time, man.
Yeah, it's always fun talking to Imani.
Go ahead, Imani.
I appreciate it. He got knowledge.
What'd you say, Imani? Go ahead.
No. I really appreciate the conversation, man.
Oh yeah.
No, it's always a good.
Yeah, well, yeah, we're definitely. I don't know what our topic is yet. If I'm able to come down, we're definitely doing a show down there live. So it'll be 2 shows this week. It's just a matter of I legitimately have no idea when little man's coming home. So if he's coming home, I'm gonna have to pick him up. So
we need a megaphone and just do it.
Hey, on that note,
yeah.
On that note too, I want to make sure I want to wish all y'all a happy Father's Day this weekend.
Happy Father's Day.
Appreciate you, bro. Same to you, man.
Thank you, sir. You too, to everybody. Even though it's gonna be my first one, I'm missing. We ain't missing the chillings.
Missing the baby.
Yeah, this weekend's gonna be really weird. My grandma's having a birthday party too, her 85th birthday.
Wow.
Yeah, man. So it's too much going on, and I'm not sure. It's too much going on, bro.
Literally, never know. It's crazy out here. Again, listen. I'm sure I'm gonna be at the show, but after the show, I can't tell you. I might be at home. Who knows?
That's why I really would like it to be like it was last year, where because I'm definitely going back to that 4 spot. Same to you, Mason.
To what? See, I got a whole day Thursday. This Thursday, I'm gonna be there doing nothing. I got to find some good place to eat.
Are you gonna be there Thursday?
This a good show for you guys? Yeah, a good.
My favorite show.
My favorite show was awesome. It was awesome. The art was amazing. Charlotte.
Okay.
Charlotte.
Yeah, Chris Claremont's gonna be there. It's a real combo, like it's a combo show, man. Daryl Banks gonna be there. Brian Stillfree, Chris Claremont, like they're gonna be out there, bro.
It's last year the art the
art better find that Barcon, man.
The art auction was fire, like fire. I wish I had bread like them people, bro.
You know what I'm talking about, right, Danny?
The Barcon? What you talking about?
Barcon. When there's always a spot where all the creators go to.
Oh no, y'all got that. You know, I don't hang out after shows, man. I just don't. I'm
Danny
not
like
good.
networking, bro.
I'm not good
And
with
I,
people, man. I'm just
Danny
I
not.
likes
know
his
it's like
life, bro.
I know what you mean.
Danny,
I know what you mean. It's always it feels awkward, man. I did it
Yeah,
once, a couple of times, and it was just like
I'm better during the
it's just
show. Like
weird. Yeah.
Morgan say I get around and talk to people during the show, and that's cool. But after the show, I don't be feeling like looking for people and meeting up at places, and it's just awkward. I'm not good in with when we get with people in front of people. I'm just not good with people. I can talk to y'all
I'm
all
good
day
as like
long.
if we go out to eat, like if I meet up and say, yeah, where we all
Yeah,
headed, like when we used to do a show in Columbus, it seemed
yeah.
like all of the creators, we all went to this, we always found a restaurant to all link up at. But aside from that, but I would just
Telling you.
one time I did go to a bar after party type of thing, and it just felt
I mean,
odd.
I was
No,
hanging.
I believe
Listen,
it. I'm just
when I did Baltimore, you know, Afua was there, Jamal Igle. I was hanging. You know, it's you know, you networking, you learn. That's how I got into Heroes Con though. Like real talk, I met the two guys that ran it. I just happened to be at the same table as them, and then they gave me their card and they introduced me. I gave them my comic book later. You know what I mean? So, like I said, you never know, man.
that's listen. That's why I be sending Morgan out to places. I be like, hey Morgan, hey, you gotta go. You gotta be at the places with the people because I can't.
Yeah, but this way you ain't got to
man,
maneuver around like.
this nigga
like,
lying.
I be like, hey Morgan.
Danny be trying to pimp me, bro, because he want to keep his
Like,
life.
Pimp you.
Right?
I be like Morgan. You
That
got
nigga be trying to pimp me because he want to keep his life. If he go out somewhere to one of these, you know, we go out to get something to eat or like go somewhere, whatever, and a female sneezes or something like that, the Tiana on the way, cuz. You know what I'm saying?
That's not
My
even
sis
it.
don't play. My sis don't play that. That's all I'm
That's
saying. You
not
know what
even
I'm
it.
saying? Like if that nigga look in his direction, it don't. They could be looking for the bathroom, and it don't make a difference. You know what I'm saying?
Don't
And
ask me where
Danny
it's
likes
at, 'cause I
his
don't
Is
life.
it that serious,
Just
man?
don't ask me
Yep.
where it's at because I don't know.
If you hold the door for a
No.
young lady, you consider that cheating?
No, I'm legit serious. I'm just not
Dude,
good.
dude was sweating already, just answering the question. He was like,
See,
nah.
see, think I'm making it up, huh?
He was
Y'all
like,
have a
You
good
like,
night.
man,
You know what I'm
look,
saying? Y'all have a
I
good night.
can't hold the
Real talk.
door, bro. Dog.
He said, I gotta go.
It's like if somebody burps and you
Tiana,
say,
you hear this, man?
He was like,
You hear these ninjas?
if
you hear that?
You hear these ninjas, Tiana?
I'm just saying, dude, you know, like
He was
it's
like,
okay. You can hold the door.
Listen.
Just being a gentleman. Just being a
Nah.
gentleman.
Nah, because then they'll be posting receipts. They'll be like, oh, they'll be posting your business online. I can't be no Zion Williamson out
Hey,
here.
hey, real talk.
Oh,
I'm
no,
telling
boy.
hey,
It'll be your
Morgan,
picture,
real
it'll be
talk.
you, and you hold the
Morgan,
door open.
I don't know how we gonna do it, Morgan. I don't know how
we.
we gonna do it, but I want to trick this dude into coming to a strip club.
No, see,
Hey, go
what's
ahead.
wrong? See, that's how.
Hey, go
That's
ahead.
why you and Greg hit it off. You know, me and Greg talk. Me and Greg were talking. Me and Greg were talking. After like I
I
don't remember if it
swear
was
I
after
would
the
do
show
it.
or what. But
I
this
swear to you.
nigga Greg was like, I can't wait till you come to a show in New York. And I was like, why? What's up? It's dope like that or whatever. He was like, nah, because I'm gonna walk you into an orgy and I'm gonna just leave you in that mug and walk out. And he's dead serious. He's not
Greg
joking.
is wild, man.
You don't understand. I am 100% serious. He's dead seriously gonna do that. And
No, yeah.
that's why I'm not going.
I'm just
Because
gonna
I'm just gonna be like,
I
hey,
know for
Danny,
a
man,
fact.
I gotta, hey, Danny, let me go. This restaurant is really good. They got good wings.
They got good chicken wings.
They got
Really?
good chicken wings. I mean, this restaurant
I
is
was gonna
really
walk in
I
good.
got
with
this-
chicken wings. Okay.
And I swear to you, I'm gonna
Hey,
let him
Danny,
walk
there's a
in
restaurant.
first,
There's
and
a
I'm gonna be
restaurant up
behind
here.
him like this.
There's a restaurant up here called
Right,
Twin. There's a restaurant up here called Twin Peaks. Yeah.
No.
Don't get me.
No.
Don't get me. You won't get me, buddy.
What?
No.
Like the TV show, you know.
Nah,
Yeah,
don't
no.
get me, buddy.
I just
No.
want to see you.
Again,
You know what you know
Y'all
what you
proving my
do.
point. Y'all
No,
proving my
Danny,
point.
just bring Tiana with you. Just
Y'all
bring her
proving
with
my
you.
point.
Just bring her
That
with
ain't-
you.
That's
Nah,
not. Then
Tiana,
you gonna see it live.
Tiana probably will be there on Sunday, so y'all are getting to meet my wife.
Then
Okay.
you gonna see it live.
Why she not there all 3 days?
Cause she has a job.
got a business to
She
run.
runs a hair salon.
She the boss. They got somebody else work.
She got
She runs a
clients.
hair
Delegate.
salon. Friday and Saturday are the busiest days. Ain't no taking no Fridays and Saturdays off for no comic book
Man.
special.
I'm just saying, Danny. Like I would take a
I just
picture
don't
of
want Danny
Danny
fooling y'all.
who's talking
I
to.
just
I'm
don't
gonna
want
take a
Danny
picture
fooling
of
y'all.
Danny talking to a customer, a female customer, and I'm gonna Photoshop the
Boy,
hell out of.
Yeah,
Do what you
please
gotta
don't
do.
do that.
You like,
Please do
this
not.
is called Ace Blade.
Yeah, no, please don't do that. Because he gonna get beat up, and I'm gonna get beat up too, and I ain't got time for it. I don't want nothing to do with that.
It's going.
Please.
It's going. By the time I'm done with that picture,
As long as y'all don't mind seeing me for about like 6 months, that's
Yeah,
fine.
you see what I'm saying? Don't, please don't. It y'all ain't never. Never mind. I guess that's for after the show. I've had some very awkward moments at shows, bro. That's all I'm gonna say.
Danny, you ain't never been flirted with by a customer.
Nope.
No,
It ain't never happened either.
no.
Hey,
That
I tell people,
nigga, if
yo,
it
I
starts,
literally
if
have,
it starts to seem like a flirt, he gonna evaporate in front of
I
the eyeball.
literally will I literally either will disappear or I have code words to be like, all right, y'all can go now. Like literally, I'll be like, y'all come back and see us. I get on.
You better get that sale.
Nah,
Yeah, I
bro.
know what you doing.
Nah,
Crazy.
you want me to tell you what he do every time that happens?
Playing around with these
If a female comes up to the table, oh, he's like, hey, how you doing? That's it's not. Hey, how you doing? Oh yeah, I'm working. Can tell you about that. Yeah. There's
Hey,
no,
Daddy, it's cool. It's
Y'all
cool.
think I'm joking.
This weekend, if an attractive young lady comes up to your table and you feel flustered, you send them over to buy some heat and some strong.
Ain't no
I got
fluster.
you. This is me being a friend.
You'll see. You'll see.
You can't be. This is yeah.
Anyway.
I can't wait. I can't
Anyway,
wait. Y'all
like
have
I
no
said,
idea.
I don't be around. I don't be out with people. I don't be out with people. I'll be behind the computer screen.
I'm talking about. I'm just saying, dude. Danny, it's okay to flirt with a customer. You just want the dollars. You don't want nothing else.
It'll be
Nope,
up as soon as we finish on YouTube.
Hey,
So
I
you
didn't
can-
tell you to give her your number. I'm
Hey.
telling you to sell the book.
I can't
Man,
be.
you are
I
trying
can't
to
be
get
out
this
here like
man
Zion,
killed. You trying to get this man killed, Nirvana. That's not
Nah,
cool,
y'all.
man.
I'm getting him to
I'm outta
sell a
here.
book.
No, you trying to get him murdered.
Hey,
How's
that
he getting murdered?
$10.
I
That
didn't say
$10
give
is
him the
not worth
number.
it. That $10 is not worth it. I promise you.
Trying to tell
Hey,
you,
man,
man.
I'll see y'all this weekend. Appreciate y'all, Monty.
All
I'm
right,
out of here,
man.
bro. Y'all be safe.
Yep, no problem.
Yeah, I hope to be there all weekend. But I can't make promises till I know what's up with little man.
Nah,
Once
I
I know
got you.
that, I you know,
Now, how far are you away from Charlotte?
2.5 hours, 2.5, 3 hours. So I mean,
So if you
like I
do
said,
come down, what you gonna do? You gonna drive back and forth?
I ain't got no choice. So my plan for Friday, I was gonna drive down, and I probably have to leave. Friday, I plan to drive down, and nurse leaves at 7, so I probably have to leave at like 4:30, 4, something like
I mean,
that.
if I got a coach.
Oh no, I'm saying I got to be back because the nurse is leaving.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so, and then Saturday and Sunday I don't have a nurse, so it depends on if he's being discharged. If he's being discharged, I'm gonna have to shoot back. If he's not being discharged, then I'll be there for the time he's not. You know what I mean? So
Let me know,
we'll
man.
see. Yeah, I'll let you. I'll let everybody know. I definitely will be at GalaxyCon because I think that's next month. I'll definitely be there for certain.
Next month, I'm
that's 4 days.
Trump tight, boy. I got Contropolis, New Jersey. I'm trying to get into Springfield, huh?
No, I'm talking to William. Come on through, man.
Hopefully I'm doing Springfield Comic-Con in Massachusetts. I'll be paneling at Connecticut in July as well, and then Terrificon is a big one. I think Greg gonna be at that one, Burnham.
Man, Greg and Marcus was at Heroes Con last year. I didn't ask him if he's coming this year.
No, they doing awesome.
Yeah.
They doing awesome con. But no, I'm gonna see Greg at a couple times because he's supposed to be doing. He said he might be doing Springfield Comic Con. If I can't get a table, I'm just gonna go. He forgot it.
Yes.
Tuesday.
I mean, you know it's gonna post. It's gonna post in a minute. Like once I end the stream, it should be up on YouTube like right afterwards. So
Yeah, I gotta get to work. It's been a pleasure, gents. I'll see y'all. And
we just got to figure out when we want to continue. I mean, we continue next week, but we got to decide what the topic is. So, but we can continue the conversation next week for sure. Because I mean, we got engagement. People want us to circle back, so I'm willing to continue that discussion next week. Maybe Greg was supposed to come on tonight, but he had a family emergency, so maybe he'll come on and we could talk about it with him too.
yeah, we could definitely. I have no problem talking about it. I think it's an interesting discussion, only because it's not a straight line. There's no, like you said, there's no right or wrong. Just like a Vermont dude, jump off when I come on. I mean, I'm gonna be in North Carolina, so come see me. Just you keep calling me Vermont. I'm playing this dude like 6'2". I don't want to fight you, Just. I don't want to
fight you. We appreciate you coming on again, Amani. And like I said, if we do it next week,
let me know, man.
You down to come back?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, bet. Yeah, so I'll definitely send you the link, and we'll go from there. But happy Father's Day to all the fathers watching.
Yes, definitely. Happy Father's Day, man.
Happy Mothers in the stead of Father's Day for the mothers that are out there raising kids on their own.
Nope. They got Mother's Day. That's what Mother's Day is for.
That's
what Mother's Day is for.
Happy mothers.
No. I am a big proponent of being against that. Even I was raised by a single mother, and she would be like, "Don't do that. We got Mother's Day. Y'all got Mother's Day. We got Father's Day. It's okay. It's all right." If I was a father, if I was a single father, I wouldn't be like, I want people to be telling me Happy Mother's Day.
Ish. Do I get presents?
Would you like for me to tell you Happy Mother's Day, Morgan?
Are you giving me a present as well?
I'm not giving you a present when I tell you.
Yeah, giving you a spa day.
A spa day?
Yeah, we give you some flowers. Yeah.
You a massage?
That's a little bit too sus for me.
No, hey, it's Mother's Day, man.
It's Mother's Day. That's what Mother's
Day. Look, there ain't nothing wrong with men getting massages. What's wrong with men getting massages?
He offered the spa day.
There you go.
You want spa day and some flowers so you feel pretty?
I don't really like flowers as much.
Know what Mother's Day?
Like one of them Snickers bouquets. One of those Snickers bouquets, I eat that.
You don't want to be called. Then you don't want to be told Happy Mother's Day.
One of them edible eats, them edible arrangements.
I'll kill that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Send that crap on.
Make it feel good.
I'll destroy that. You ain't got to worry about
Happy Mother's Day. I got you.
Day, boy. Happy Mother's Day.
My masculinity. I ain't worried about that. If them edible arrangements make me sus, brother, I'm sus. Cause you can forget it. Them joints are banging.
Mimosas at the spot.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, man. If we're gonna do it, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it right.
Yeah, I'm saying, bro.
That's like, you know what? I'm gonna hit a spot before the car. Or
that's about to be another conversation, not right now, because we got to have a conversation about whether
I'm gonna hit a spot for Father's Day before the con.
You should. Right. Why not?
No, man. You gotta be careful with those spas, man.
With a mimosa like this, with my pinky out.
Don't go to no spa. Hey, don't go to no spa with Greg. I'll tell you that right now.
Oh, don't you worry about it. No. Nah, that definitely not gonna happen. Y'all think I'm joking? Greg is not joking,
dog.
I believe him.
Amani knows. Okay, I'm just saying he's not joking. He legitimately will do that to me. I'm not even joking, bro. Like he will walk me in there. And be like,
hey, hold on, though. Real talk. Before we go, I'm gonna give a shout out to Greg LSA. All right, when my car got hit, this for those that don't know. I finished Brooklyn Comic-Con this weekend, and as I was walking out, I saw that somebody had hit my parked car, leaving me stranded basically in New York. Greg stayed with me the entire time until my wife came to pick me up, until the flatbed came to pick me up, hit me up. We found this hole-in-the-wall restaurant. He hooked me up with something to eat. This dude literally sat with me on the side of the street until my wife came. I appreciate them. I appreciate him so much for that.
He's a great,
he's a great guy for that, and I honestly can't say more how much I appreciate that. And I want to shout out my wife for quickly coming to get me, because she had to drive from Connecticut to New York, getting the baby ready and everything. I mean, everybody came through, for a real screwed up situation.
You her baby, bro. She got to.
Oh, I got to give respect and appreciation for everybody to help me out. But definitely, Greg did not have to do that.
You better.
Greg could have been like, man, that sucks.
You better have laid it down. We all got home too. Shoot.
Man, we got home at 1:30 in the morning.
I don't care, nigga.
And she drove.
That's irrelevant. Anyway,
it's absolutely irrelevant.
Yeah, Greg.
You talking like you married? You ain't married no more, dude.
I've been married. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Greg.
I was trying not to say it.
Hey, listen. It is what it is. Greg is a great human being, bro.
He's a great dude for that, man.
He's just a hoe.
I honestly can't.
You know what I'm saying? He's a great human being. He's a hoe. He's a terrible human being at the same time.
Justin, the left side of my car,
and I love and I hate him.
The left front side of my car basically got evaporated.
Yeah, I'm still wondering.
Morgan has seen the picture.
I really feel like, you know what I'm saying? I feel like one of the people that watches our show was like, that's that nigga be talking Morgan crazy all the time, bro. I'm about to, and they just pop that hoe. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't ask them to do that. You know what I'm saying? So I apologize on their behalf for hitting your car like that. I don't know why they did that.
That's all right. We gonna hold.
If I catch him, we're gonna throw hands. We'll fight them together. We'll jump them.
Nah, the individual.
Kenji. That's probably Kenji then. No.
That would be perfect, actually.
I would hope Kenji would be man enough to come holler at me.
That would be perfect, man.
But
if there was like
the
video
car
footage,
got totaled out,
and I saw Kenji turn around, he was like, "Guan."
He didn't get throw the deuce.
What's going on?
No, put his hand in the camera.
He's driving away like this.
This is good.
Oh my God!
What's up, Moan?
Bro, what if he was? What if like all you saw through the windshield on the camera was him driving with one hand?
I don't put bumper stickers on my car. So.
Oh my God, man, that would be so funny. Oh my
Moana,
God.
are you doing Baltimore? Let me know. Moana's in the comments. I was asking if she's doing Baltimore.
Oh, what's up, sis? Man, that's funny.
It seems like it's gonna be a lot of people there, man, this weekend. I can't wait. I'm gonna get to meet a lot of creators I ain't get a chance to meet yet, hopefully.
Yeah, I'll be down there and you can lose in person, man. It's gonna be great.
Man, you can't even stay overnight.
I don't need to stay overnight.
Yes, I'm there this weekend, man. I'm at Heroes Con this weekend. You doing Awesome Con? I'm telling you, I was gonna do Awesome Con. And then, Heroes hooked me up with a table. So the costs kind of allow for it. I might do hopefully Awesome Con ain't the same time as Heroes next year. Some of these cons, man, I wish they would stagger them just a little bit, man.
Yeah, I know, right?
Because I would have loved to do Awesome Con.
Me too. But I guess they'd be trying to, make you choose. I don't know, bro.
Because I know like Terrificon is the same weekend as no, Baltimore is later this year. Damn, Justin, I'm out of the country.
Dang, Jess.
I don't know what to tell you. I know there's what's the con in Dallas? What's the con in Dallas, Texas?
I go to that just because I ain't never been to Dallas.
That's the same weekend as Terrificon. What's the name of it? Because I know Mike Watson and them are going out to it.
Yeah, because I think that's when we went to I think that's when we went. Baltimore's Comic Con was fire though. When we went, I think we last went in 2018. No, that was 5 years
Are
ago.
y'all doing it this year?
I hope so.
Did y'all reach out?
I don't remember. We applied to a bunch of them. It was like we made a spreadsheet and applied to a bunch of them early. So
You should have heard by now, though.
But I'm saying that I don't check the fourth wall email most of the time, but most of the time they respond to that email. So I don't know.
Yeah, y'all gotta check on that. Yeah, I wanted to do DreamCon, but it's the same weekend as Terrificon, and I'm so Trump tight on July and August right now, and September really because I got Baltimore and Granite State.
If we having that discussion next week, we need to see if Moana can come on.
Yeah, well, ask her. She right here.
I know. I just thought about it.
We want you to come on the show next week.
Yeah, sis, we gotta holler at you.
That'd be a nice round table topic.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah, we gonna be there this weekend. We all waiting
all weekend. I'm really hoping I'll be down there all weekend, but I just gotta get the logistics together. But I'll keep everybody in the loop.
I'm on flight Thursday, so hey, if you in North Carolina Thursday, come holler at me because I ain't got nothing to do all day.
Man, ain't nothing wrong with that, bro.
What's the topic?
We gotta decide what the topic is.
Yeah, we'll formulate it in a more.
We gotta decide what the list is gonna be. The topic we'll still get into.
I still want to do top 5 movie psychos.
Okay.
How did I put it? I put it a different way in there though. I can't remember.
I think that's how you said it.
I mean, psychopaths. I said movie psychopaths or something like that, or movie serial killers or something. We should be doing something like that. We haven't done something in movies in a minute.
Yeah, so what the discussion we had tonight, sis, was about the what was the hashtag comics
broke me.
Yeah, hashtag comics broke me.
Yes.
That's the conversation we were having tonight, and people wanted us to continue that conversation. So I'd love to have you come on next week, if you can.
I'll be in Charlotte. I get in like dumb early, like 9 something in the morning, but I'll be in Charlotte for the whole day.
I wish I had taken Thursday off, but I didn't. Yeah, because I would come. Well, yeah, I'm pretty. If he gets discharged early, it'll probably be Thursday or Friday. So,
how long is he usually in when he's in though?
A week and a half, 2 weeks. But
when did he go in?
He just went in Monday. But the thing is, he's doing really good. That's what I'm saying. He's doing really good. So he might not need. It depends on what they decide to do with the antibiotic. If they give him the full course antibiotic on IV, he'll be there till Monday. But if they decide to do some hybrid, like give him half IV and then half like an inhaled steroid or something like that, then he'll be home earlier. So it depends. It just depends. We're not gonna know nothing definitive probably till like Thursday. So
there's some really good threads here.
There's a bunch of them out there. I read the article a few hours before we came on, and that put me kind of up to speed, because when I read Greg's thread, I didn't really understand what the conversation was. I mean, I had to read the article to kind of get where the conversation was coming from. So
I think in general, it's just about the modernization of the financial structure of the comics pay scale.
Pretty much. But the larger conversation there too is just artistic. The pay scale for art period. Honestly, you know what I'm saying? Because again, this same thing, the same conversation is happening in the music industry too. More, what's the better option for him? It's really good that this time we took him in, that he's doing as well as he is this quickly, because that means the treatment that we did a few months ago worked. So he has more bandwidth for when he does have issues and he gets something in his lungs. He has more bandwidth where it doesn't immediately like drop him. So that's a good thing. I would prefer they finish the IV in the hospital. I don't like the idea of them starting the antibiotic and then stopping it and finishing with something else.
Can you request that they do that?
Yes, but it's not going to be. I don't think it'll be easy fight because he's doing so well. In their mind, they'll say, well, their argument's going to be he's doing so well he doesn't really need to be here just to get this antibiotic. That's going to be their but the reason he would need to be there is because that IV, because it's only given through the IV. So that's what I'm saying. We have to have that conversation. So, like I said, I'll know probably Thursday what's up, or if I talk to his mom, and she'll have him for this weekend, and I'm Gucci. It just depends. So,
I mean, I'll be there, man. I get in like around. I probably will be in around like 10, I think. And once I get to the hotel, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get an early check-in. So I'm probably just gonna find something to eat. Hopefully I can get an early check-in.
I would find something to eat and then chill in the room until I could.
I mean, I've never been to Charlotte.
Yeah, you should at least go by the stadium because
I just want to at least I don't know where I am in regards to everything. So I mean, it should be during the day. So I might walk around just a little bit just to kind of see.
There's plenty. If do you know where the hotel is? If it's uptown or downtown?
It's right next to where the show is.
Oh, okay. So
I haven't looked. I was going to do that tomorrow to kind of.
I want to say where the show isn't far from the stadium. I want to say the stadium's in walking distance, but there's plenty of restaurants around. The
Panthers. Oh, okay.
There's plenty of restaurants around that area because we stayed at the Loft last year, and I can't remember how far away from there that is. We'll figure it out. Like I said, I should know something more solid by Thursday about Little Man, and I'll let everybody know. Even if he is home, I should still be there at least Friday because I have a nurse that's coming.
I might actually get into the stadium early and then just drop all my stuff off. So I ain't got to do it in the morning tomorrow, in the morning on Friday. It'll just be a lot easier. But yeah, I got to take off. I got stuff to do. I got to get ready.
Man, I appreciate y'all.
All right, bro. All right, bro. We'll see y'all next week. We'll pick the
all right, just holla at me.
And make sure y'all hit the poll. The poll is already up in the group. Jamari smashed us last week.
Yes, he did.
But it's only because he put Marvel vs. Capcom up there, and that's like, I mean, anybody could put that.
A loss is a loss. We all lost.
Yeah. Oh, I'm on the board. I'm gonna put like others or something.
We can do that. We can do that. We can put guests.
So we have other guests on. We can make a bracket for them. So, but yeah, we'll holler at y'all next week. Love y'all. Thank you for listening, and we'll see y'all.
Those kind this weekend, y'all.
We'll see you possibly Saturday, but I'll let y'all know ahead of time.
All right.
Peace out, y'all.